Barbers better stop playing with people's hair. I'm trying to tell you, fool. Your hairline already naturally decline as you get older. And for a barber to push your hairline back, that's diabolical.
Go forward. I don't see what you're looking at.
He know what he see.
That's your angle is going right here.
He gave this man a Vegeta hairline, fool.
Parasites and spiritual entities are the exact same thing. Because the spirit world and the microscopic world, they're both the unseen world, but they're both there. First of all, look at these things. You can't tell me these things don't look like monsters or demons. Look at them.
Out there in the non-melanated community, because I'm coming across a lot of these videos
that gives you this color. I am naturally this white. You need to use our ultra dark tan. It is watermelon scented, and this is what it looks like immediately after applying it with a rubber glove. I'm telling you, the color payoff is white.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, that's gonna make us question everything. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
Some crazy things happening in the world right now. You remember when that giant boat crashed into the Baltimore Bridge? The crew from that ship is still stuck in Baltimore 19 months later. They are not under arrest. They are just not allowed to leave Baltimore because there's still an investigation pending. Some of those crew members were already gone from home for months before this, which means some of them haven't seen their families in over 2 years. China and Russia are apparently sending female spies into Silicon Valley to steal secrets from tech workers, even marrying and having children with them. The stock market and job openings have risen and fallen in tandem with each other for decades until 2023. Stocks are up more than 75%. Meanwhile, job listings are down by over 33%. By the way, ChatGPT launched at the end of 2022. There's some weird stuff happening because of AI. Someone told ChatGPT to trade cryptocurrency and it lost 42 out of 44 times, wasting almost $10,000 in just a few days. The amount of offices being built in the United States is about to be taken over by the amount of data centers in the United States being built.
How are we not more upset that we've all been scammed?
How did we go from fighting a revolution over a 2% tax on a breakfast beverage to what we pay today? And we're taxed on money when we receive it, when we spend it, when we keep it, when we invest it, and even when we die with it. It gets worse. We commute to work to make that money in a car that is taxed again to register on roads we're already taxed to build, fueled by gas that is taxed even further, and many times through tolls that tax you again. And so that's to maintain bridges and highways and tunnels that already have billions of dollars, taxpayer dollars, allocated to them, and they're still falling apart.
The founding fathers would have had 5 revolutions by now.
And they're still falling apart. And then when you get to your office that is taxed to exist, in a corporation that is also taxed to do business, that almost certainly requires permits and other things, which are another tax, you are paid a paycheck that the corporation must match another payroll tax on top of what they have to pay you. Then you go to a home of which you are taxed to own every single year that we bought with money that the government already taxed.
We have to be the most taxed people in the most taxed country on planet Earth of all time. That we get the politicians so much money, and where has it gotten us? It's mind-boggling how no one really cares that much. Stay weird.
When was the last time you saw Jessica Simpson? Why do I ask? Because she recently appeared in a Pottery Barn ad and was completely unrecognizable, leaving her fans in shock. If you haven't seen the viral Pottery Barn video, take a look at this.
Hi, I'm Jessica Simpson, and welcome to my daughter Birdie's room, designed by Pottery Barn Kids. A little bit of me.
Who is that in the Pottery Barn ad? Is that Jessica Simpson?
Looks like it.
Is that the Jessica Simpson that we're all used to seeing in music videos and TV shows? This is the Jessica Simpson that we're all used to seeing. So who is this Jessica Simpson that appeared in the Pottery Barn ad? It has her fans asking the question, has Hollywood claimed another celebrity? This is a recent image of Jessica Simpson, and this is a still image from the Pottery Barn ad. And as I say in all my videos, I understand that people can age and people can change. But these Hollywood celebrities are all not looking the same. So I guess my question to you Has Hollywood claimed another celebrity? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
So a 6.7 magnitude earthquake just hit Japan, and I wasn't trying to be funny, okay, because it's a 6.7, but a 6.7 earthquake hit Japan this morning. Right now, they are bracing for a tsunami. There's a tsunami warning, which is pretty typical after earthquakes. And this is where it happened in this little area, just I guess a little bit north of Tokyo and Sendai. Our biggest thing here is that people are not seeing the earth groaning and moaning because the time is near, the time is at hand. Remember, in the Bible, in the last days, it says that we will have pestilences in diverse places. We have been seeing a lot of earthquakes. I haven't been covering all of them, but we have been seeing a lot of them. I feel like the earth and all of the natural disasters that are happening right now, people are kind of ignoring them or just seemingly not really being mindful of them because we're so focused on every other chaotic thing that's going on, which is also foretold in the Bible. Like, the world would be in a state of chaos. Also in the state of that chaos, in the state of the wars and the rumors of wars and all the different famines and all the different things that's going on in different countries and just the depravity of people's hearts, there will also be the groaning of the earth. So we are in those times where we are seeing everything play out on a world stage. And one of the things we've seen more recently is just a crazy amount of earthquakes. And it seems like they're getting larger and larger. And so I don't believe anyone was hurt by this earthquake because I believe it happened on the coastline. But still, pray for the people who, you know, houses might have been affected, or cars, or just damages and things like that.
Here are 6.7 magnitude earthquake. You guys know about these clips, but we've been watching, man, how they keep saying 6.7 is demonic, bro. First, I wasn't kind of believing it, but I had to now, bro. Like I said, there's things happening all over the world, just earthquakes, floods, and things like that happening. But some people, they don't even know, man. Watching these clips, it really brought my attention to it, bro. Gotta be aware.
Some real-life glitches caught on camera. Part 2. In 2016, a road security camera on a busy intersection caught a mind-boggling event on tape. Traffic seems to be moving like normal until an invisible force lifts 3 cars up effortlessly and throws them around like ragdolls. The people's reactions, as well as multiple captured angles, prove that this really happened. This actually isn't the first time something like this has happened. This video captures a similar event taking place on the road below and shows 2 cars that mysteriously start to levitate. No cables or edits can be seen when both of these events occur, leaving most of us questioning our own reality.
Y'all Barbara better stop playing with people's hair. I'm trying to tell you, fool. Your hairline already naturally decline as you get older. And for a barber to push your hairline back, that's diabolical. Look at this man. He in the mirror like, he like, yeah, you push me back right here. Look, he just like, right here? No, nah, nigga, you push that nigga shit back. I do not like barbers like this. Knowing the whole time he pushed your shit back and he just like, damn, how I'm gonna fix it. Let me know down below in the comments. Has a barber ever pushed your shit back? And if they did you say something to him or you just was like, fuck, I'm about to just take this L? He know what he see.
Right there, bro.
He gave this man a Vegeta hairline, fool.
Oh, man.
You talking about right here? You see that shit. Now you gonna push it back even more. This way you messed up at. Yeah, alright.
Bro, don't worry about it, bro. You go, bro. You go there, she go, put don't worry about it, bro. Don't worry about it, bro. You finna get that too about my shit, bro.
Hey, you push my shit back, nigga. LeBron.
Said not the LeBron, bro.
Miss Universe 2025.
Bro, has that ever happened to you guys seekers, man? You got the cup, bro, and they messed it up, man. I think that happened to me. I mean, like once, a long time ago, bro. Went to this barbershop. No, new barber. He was in the barbershop, bro. I was chopped, bro. Never again, man. That happened to me once. I said, nope. I never went back to him again after that. He messed me up. And it happened to me again. That's what I learned. That's what you gotta lock in with one barber, bro. Lock in.
Will go down as their most controversial year in history. So the winner was just revealed to be Mexico's Fatima Bosch, the same girl who was called a dumbhead by the pageant's director, triggering mass walkouts by contestants and a huge global backlash. But that was just a tiny fraction of the problems that they've run into this year. After that incident, a former winner of the contest was criticized for making racist comments online towards the pageant's director, calling him that despicable Chinese. And then when someone in the chat corrected her, saying that he was actually Thai, Alicia Machado said, Chinese, Thai, Korean, to me, all of these people with slanted eyes like this are Chinese. This is while she was pulling the corners of her eyes. Miss Israel got a wave of death threats online after a clip of her went viral, seemingly giving Miss Palestine crazy side-eye. She then had to come out and deny these claims, saying that the footage was cropped and taken from a distorted angle, and that she did not look at Miss Palestine with any hostility. Miss Jamaica was placed on a stretcher and rushed to hospital on stage during one of the walks, and then just days before the winner was set to be announced, 2 judges abruptly stepped down from the competition, with one of them accusing the pageant of being rigged. In fact, the president of the Miss Universe organization was even asked by reporters about these rigging allegations while he was literally standing next to the winner. Now, he strongly denied all of the accusations. But in the end, Thailand was runner-up, with Venezuela, Philippines, and the Ivory Coast also making it into the top 5. The question is, do you think that the right person won or not?
Scientists confirm that your dreams might be real moments happening in another reality. Like not imagination, like reality. So when you dreamed about that mansion, 0 bills, that was real somewhere. They're basically saying that when your brain goes lucid, you're not dreaming anymore. You're tuning into another version of your life. So every time I was rich, fought demons, flown, and talked to people that don't exist here, it actually happened. Just not in this timeline. If you go down that rabbit hole on TikTok, you'll see people trying to switch reality. Whole tutorials. Candle rituals and all. And people laughed at that shit. Well, apparently they're on to something. These scientists are working on making hardware that one day we can replay our dreams. I'm talking VR simulation type shit. Now think about this. If that rollout happens, the darkest parts of your subconscious might be covered. Maybe dreams aren't fake. Maybe reality is. Because if my mind can leave this world every single night, who said this one is the real one? Y'all gotta think about this shit. I made a video about dreams before. And I'm always questioning, how do things like this happen in dreams? Where do we go? How do we get there? And then how do we come back into this reality right here? Well, apparently I've been asking the right question. Pay attention.
So basically they're saying when you dream, you're basically seeing another version, another reality of yourself. That's interesting. So every single time you dream, like you said, you're rich, you have money, you have superpowers, bro. That means, bro, that's like confirmed with the multiverse, right? The multiverse theory? Or alternate timeline, something, bro. Wow. Imagine, man, there's a version of yourself out there that's freaking rich that has superpowers, bro. Fighting zombies, man. The possibilities are endless, bro. You guys want me to go down that lucid dream rabbit hole?
12-year-old got 2 new finger piercings. The daughter of Kourtney Kardashian and Kanye West has finally posted a new photo of her finger piercing. Not only did North West just get 1 finger piercing, he actually got 2 piercings. But this is her first piercing. It is a surface piercing. This is the result of the picture before. Now people are even more madder at Kim Kardashian for allowing North to basically do whatever she wants. And now a lot of people are saying Kanye West was right. And even more worser, in the span of the past like 6 or 7 weeks, we have seen North's 2 new piercings, as well as her for Halloween basically dressing up like a Tekashi 6ix9ine Labubu, where she has so many face tats. And even more insane, a lot of people are concerned for North West's health, because not only are piercings like very hard to keep clean, 12-year-olds are typically not the most hygienicest people in the world. A lot of people are concerned for North West's ability to clean out her piercings, because not only does she have this one, because not only does she have this piercing on this finger, North West also has this piercing. She has a dermal piercing on this finger right here, as well as this nose ring. And although some people are saying that they are absolutely disgusted by this, other people are saying that we are not her mother, so who cares? Would you let your 12-year-old get these piercings?
Story that was passed down for generations by the Hopi people warned of the time that humans would create a terrifying object so powerful it could burn the earth, poison the skies, and they referred to that as Court of Ashes, which sounds a lot like the atomic bomb.
Right.
The way the prophecy goes, it starts out at some point the earth there would be a black ribbon built and that bugs would be upon it, and then you begin to see the bug moving on the land. It would be so violent that the bug would be shaken off of the earth into the air, and it would begin to move and fly through the air, and it would cause disease. This predates the Cord. Apparently in the 20s they saw those planes and cars, and they were like, okay, this is something coming true, because we've seen the first two things happen, and the third is complete destruction, poisoning the waters, consuming the land. They believe that the technological advancement without spiritual wisdom would destroy the earth. They warned that we're now living in the fourth world, is what they call it. This is terrifying. He said nature will speak with its own voice, and the time for warnings is over.
Parasites and spiritual entities are the exact same thing. Because the spirit world and the microscopic world, they're both the unseen world, but they're both there. First of all, look at these things. You can't tell me these things don't look like monsters or demons. Look at them. Because you need to understand there's a macrocosm and a microcosm. The microcosm is literally all the small things that we don't see in the world. Parasites, germs, airwaves, all this type of stuff. And the macrocosm is all the things that we can see. We can see other humans, we can see animals, we see planets, we see the sun, we see trees, plants. Everything has a larger and a smaller version of itself. So when you see bastards like this, bro, that's a fucking demon. Because that's what a parasite does. It controls you like a demon. It will literally influence your brain to do shit that you know you're not supposed to be doing. Eat shit you know you ain't supposed to be eating. Because the spirit world is everything. Spirits and ghosts and germs and parasites. It's all the spirit world. But that's the thing. There's positive entities in the world and there's negative entities. The negative ones just want to steal energy from you all the time. They just want to make you do bad shit to make you self-destruct and destroy yourself. Then there's the good ones. They want to help you. They want you to learn. They want you to grow, evolve, be better. That's another reason why fasting is so important. Get the parasites out of your body so you could be the best version of yourself. And then there's the other benefits of fasting. Weight loss. It supports your gut microbiome. For those who don't know what that is, it makes your gut healthy. It makes your skin glow, all that shit. It's responsible for cellular repair. When you fast, your body starts to heal itself. It enhances your mental clarity and your focus. You can think better. And it supports longevity. It supports your body taking care of itself in the long run.
A crazy story I ever heard. A
Needed,
17-year-old, she decided to go into her parents' room while they were sleeping. Bop, bop, and both of them. And she literally went onto a TikTok crime page. Oh, this happened to my parents. Can you help me try and solve it? But she's the one that did it. Sarah Grace TikTok story. She confused everyone. Called the police. Someone just barged in my house. They my parents, right? Yeah. One of the true crime people did a whole story about it, right? And in the comments, they were asking questions. What weapon was it? And herself, Sarah, went into the comments and was like, oh, it was a gun. This is where it was. It's like, this was all a game for her.
I just wanted to say goodbye to my mom and Jane since we never got the chance to. And I have to say also how much I need John for now. Although there's nothing we can do to prove that. I love you guys, and so do they. I'm sorry.
So did she get caught? The only reason why she got caught was because she turned herself in. From an investigative standpoint, it would seem that it was someone who knew them. Most definitely was since they knew the house. Whoa. That's her commenting on her own murder. She posted a video too of, there's no way I can't call my mom anymore. I'm so sad.
That's actually insane, bro. The fact that she was commenting on what she did, talking to a true crime podcaster, bro, on TikTok. It goes to show you, man, bro. People will do anything, man, for some attention. And she took it to the extreme. Wow. The fact that she was commenting under the post, talking to that person, saying they like whoever did it must have known the house, and was like, yeah, obviously because they knew where they were at. No words.
Put me over, Brett. Please don't put me over, Brett. I literally begged that man, Brett, on the Bible, man. I begged that man and his wife not to do me like this, bro. And they literally turned around less than 48 hours later and did me exactly how I wish that they did me, bro. And it's like, if I don't speak up and I don't tell my story and I don't shine light on this, bro, it's gonna be people still tied to them that can't get out of these deals because people be scared to speak up. And I'm getting DMs and texts from fake investigators and people trying to call me and tell me that they know where I stay. I'm getting told that these people are part of a bloodline, and I gotta be careful with the attorneys that I'm dealing with.
Something very strange about magnetics. I need you to buckle up for this one. Now, magnetic fields are in the shape of a torus, which is just a fancy word for donut. And we can see that in the ferrocell, and we can see it when these iron flakes are flying around this magnet on a chain. You can see how the energy flows.
Yeah.
Cool, why does this matter? This is how the planet protects itself from the sun when it tries to fucking attack us. It shoots these angry balls of energy at us, and the magnetic field gets bent when it interacts with it. Now, when these magnetic field lines connect again, they go back into the poles of the Earth through that toroidal shape, and then that's how we get the auroras. Now, the interaction of these creates these magnetic hotspots on the planet, and we call these ley lines. Now, we can see this with the new satellites that we have. It gives us a very clear image of all these little points where they're at. Now, the weird thing is, our ancient homies built their structures on hotspots on the planet, and they accidentally built them in the same shape that can harness all of that energy into a fine point, creating a magnetic field around the structure. Now, they accidentally created a giant alternator, and if only they knew what shape could harness that energy. You know, imagine the stuff they can do.
What's going on out there in the non-melanated community? Because I'm coming across a lot of these videos of white girls, you know, specifically these white women, right? They are getting a heavily bodily tans. Has anybody been seeing this on their timelines? This can't be healthy. Like, to drench yourself in this amount of synthetic melanin, if it is synthetic melanin, it cannot be healthy. And, you know, the ingredients in the bottle are not going to be true because no corporation in America makes healthy things. So what really is this? What are they putting on their body? Like, look at it on her sleeping gown, whatever it is. And then to go and curl your hair and then do all of this, what is going on here? This is like some Addams Family type-ish, bro. Look at this, y'all. What is happening, America?
Tan that gives you this color. I am naturally this white. You need to use our ultra dark tan. It is watermelon scented, and this is what it looks like immediately after applying it with a rubber glove. I'm telling you, the color payoff is wild.
So why are they making everything related to melanin and pigment watermelon flavor? Like watermelon flavor tan?
Really?
Like, why would you want to make an applicable tan, like bodily applicable tan, watermelon flavor? Like, even the drinks that they're all drinking, man, it's even watermelon flavor as well too. So you know what they say about us and watermelon. We do love our watermelon. I love watermelon. So are they trying to subconsciously make them? And even when you look at this bottle over here, we are the children of the sun. Like, and they got the sun on here as well too. Like, what are they implying?
I think I'm crazy.
Maybe they just like the tan. His face was killing me, bro.
I mean, how do they not see what's going on here? Look at the face. What the hell? What? Yeah, I need answers because all of this is brand new. Because even those copper tone sunblocks never did this. Crazy, man. That's why melanin costs more than gold. We are the real currency. But let me know what you guys think about this video, y'all. The shit is here. Let's continue.
Stuffed in a duffel bag, and the culprit was the last person anyone expected. When a woman's body was found stuffed in a duffel bag in Forest Park in New York City, police knew they were hunting for a dangerous murderer. It was the 16th of April 2022. Investigators identified the victim as 51-year-old Orsolya Gal. She was a local married mum of two who lived in a beautiful $2 million property. Officers began to unravel secrets that would stun the community. She'd been stabbed almost 60 times, so officers knew that this was a crime of passion. The crime was incredibly personal, and she tried to fight back and had defensive wounds on her hands and fingers. Police noticed drag marks and blood droppings. They determined that the bag with her body inside had been dragged from one location to the other. Officers followed the bloody trail back to her house. Now, the woman, who was originally from Hungary, told her son that she was going out that evening. Her husband, Howard, and her other son, Jamie, were actually out of town in Oregon looking for college options for him. She reportedly returned home that evening just after midnight. Investigators determined that her killer had turned up between the hours of 12:03 and 12:30 a.m. This was 44-year-old David Bonola. The pair had been having an affair and was said to be on-off. He therefore knew that the spare key for the house was hidden in the barbecue in the garden. They apparently got into a heated argument when he decided to stab her. Police scoured the area for CCTV and saw this haunting clip. It shows a figure dragging the duffel bag down the road. Now, this was at around 4:30 a.m. David was charged with murder but pleaded guilty to first-degree manslaughter. He was therefore given just 25 years in prison.
Guys, the world's largest spider web has just been discovered, and it also contains over 110,000 spiders. Ah, napalm. And if that's not wild enough, the webs cover an area of 1,140 square feet. For Americans, that's half a basketball court, just straight webs. And perhaps us humans can take some notes, because what researchers say is significant is they found 2 different species of spiders living there together peacefully. Researchers made this discovery in a sulfur cave along the Albanian-Greek border, and it's now believed to be the largest spider web ever discovered. The most
Secrets, how much money would someone have to pay to go into that web, bro? To go to that cave, man, to see that big spider web. It couldn't be me, man. We don't do spiders over here, bro.
Popular meme from every month of this year. Let's take a look back at the most popular meme of January. Well, it was Squid Game memes, and it was specifically this one. However, moving on to February, the most popular meme was when the Gulf of Mexico was changed to the Gulf of America here in America, and people started changing it to literally everything else. Next, in March, it was Italian brain rot, which is still super viral. However, in April, it was chicken jockey. Yeah. Those were some interesting times. However, in May, it was 100 men versus 1 gorilla. I still think that 1 gorilla would win. Now, the most popular meme of June is this guy pointing at himself in this stock photo. I wonder if he knows he's so viral. However, in July, the most popular meme is the Dexter I Can't Prove It meme. It's already a classic. Moving on, in August, it was this Shrek meme. I swear Shrek always has one of the most viral memes every year. However, September, it was the 6-7 meme, which is still everywhere. And in October, it was this rabbit pointing at the clock meme. We're currently in November, and December hasn't happened yet, so I can't tell you what's the most popular yet, but I will at the end of the year.
Can you tell me if my breath stinks? Dude, just lick the back of your hand, wait for it to dry, and then smell it. That's what we're all smelling right now. Oh man, I have gum in my hair. Can you get it out? I'm putting some ice on it. It'll actually harden up all the fibers, making it easier to pull away from the hair strands. There's no way this is gonna work. Huh. I got a splinter and I don't have any tweezers. I got 3/4, make them into tweezers. I'm keeping the change. You wouldn't by chance know how to get rid of this fat-ass acne scar, would you? Put some honey on it, maybe a Band-Aid too. What if the bees come after me? Honey has very strong antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and wound-healing abilities. Trust me, okay? My dad was a beekeeper. Ugh, whatever. It's a long shot, but you wouldn't by chance know of a really inconvenient way to flip the food in this pan, would you? Flip the pan. Flip the pan. Flip the pan. Flip the pan. Thanks. Make sure there's no oil or liquids in it, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, please don't. You tell somebody flip the pan, bro, someone will actually do that, bro, over the day. Oh, man. You have to tell them step by step, bro.
The father who left his 2-year-old daughter to die in a hot car while he played video games and watched porn spoke about this case briefly last year, but there's been some major updates. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, in the summer of 2024, 2-year-old Parker passed away after she was left in a hot car while she slept. Mind you, it was about 109 degrees in that car. She was left in there for 3 hours until her mom came home and asked, "Where's Parker?" And you guys know how hot it gets in Arizona in the summer. The father, his name's Christopher, he was supposed to be taking care of the kids while the mom was working, but instead he was playing video games and watching porn. When police arrived to the house, 2-year-old Parker was already deceased, and body cam footage shows Christopher really upset with police because they were questioning him. Like, sir, you just took your own daughter's life. What do you think was going to happen? Then they find text messages between Christopher and his wife, and it shows that this wasn't his first time doing this. She had told him so many times to stop leaving the kids in the car. Even his 2 other daughters admitted that this was a normal thing their father did. Anyways, so he was arrested, but then was released on bail. So he traveled with his wife and 2 other daughters to Hawaii for vacation, which I don't know how his wife is even able to look at him after what he did. But now, fast forward, and Christopher was supposed to turn himself in this month, and he was most likely gonna get 30 years in prison. It's that this man knew that the car AC automatically turned off on its own, and he didn't think to go check on his daughter once for those 3 hours. First of all, it's dangerous leaving a child unsupervised in a car outside by themselves despite having the AC on. And also, the wife was a doctor, and she knew more than anyone how dangerous the situation was, yet she still left her daughters with this man.
Top 3. The fact that it makes it even worse was when she said Arizona, but do you know how hot it gets over there, man? In Arizona? Bro, we getting so hot, man, you can literally, like, you can crack an egg on a sidewalk and you can fry it, bro. Or you pour water on it and it just freaking boils, man. It's no joke over there.
Urban legends that turned out to be true. Part 1. Number 3. The sewer crocodile. One of the most famous urban legends is about a crocodile living in the city sewers. While it may sound unbelievable, there have been several cases where crocodiles have been found in sewer systems. For example, in 2010, a young crocodile was discovered in the sewers of New York City, confirming the truth behind this urban legend.
Killer croc.
Number 2. Spiders and bananas. According to this urban legend, venomous spiders frequently hide in imported banana bunches. This story has proven to be true on multiple occasions. In 2005, a British family found a venomous spider, known as the Brazilian wandering spider, in a bunch of bananas they purchased from a supermarket. This case confirmed that there is some truth to this urban legend. Number 1. The killer. Hiding in the back seat. This urban legend tells the story of a psychopathic killer who hides in the back seat of a person's car and attacks when they are distracted. While it's difficult to find specific cases that exactly match this legend, there have been incidents where dangerous individuals have gained access to the backseat of cars and attacked their occupants. These events have confirmed the importance of being cautious and checking the inside of one's car.
Always, man. You gotta be on 10.
You won't believe. This is one of the most dangerous foods in the world, and both its source and preparation process are pretty intense. First, the chef throws chopped scallions, garlic, and onions into a big pot for the first round of cooking. Then, he tosses in a huge bear paw to simmer along with the veggies. About an hour later, the paw is ready to come out. After cleaning it up, he uses tweezers to remove all the hair. The high heat makes it pretty easy to strip the fur right off, and even the nails fall off with a gentle touch. Once the paw is cleaned again and dried off, he wraps it up and places it in another big pot filled with more ingredients, adding dates and honey. So y'all just gonna eat anything? Then, it's back on the heat for round 2. After cooking, the bear paw turns out plump and juicy, with a nice bouncy texture. The most crucial step is the third round of cooking. He slices up some mushrooms.
Okay. Mushrooms look good.
In a ladle of the broth, places the mushrooms at the bottom, and puts the bear paw on top. After drizzling some broth over it, he lets it simmer on low for about half an hour. In the end, that rich bear paw soaking in the sweet broth gives an irresistible aroma. A gentle slice with a knife makes the meat fall apart. So would you dare to try this dangerous yet tempting delicacy?
I must have manifested.
See, cause y'all eating some bear paw, bro? Tell me down below, man. I need to know if y'all gonna eat that, bro. I don't think I could, man.
This is some nonsense, because the day I talked about Florida's herpy monkey problem, a truck full of them overturned and released a mess of lab monkeys into Mississippi. The problem is, the monkeys are also feared to be infected with several diseases, like hepatitis C. On top of that, according to officials, the rhesus monkeys are aggressive and need to be neutralized, which is a cute way to say it's on site. Now, I will say, after reports came out that the monkeys could be DoorDashing death and disease, Tulane University came out with a statement and said that the monkeys had not been exposed to any infectious agent. But they also made sure to let us know that they didn't own the monkeys and were not responsible for their transport. Also, it was first reported that all but one of the fugitives were put in past tense. Except then the sheriff's department said, actually there's 3 of them left and we're still looking for them. So I don't know what the hell's going on. There's already been one mother of 5 that woke up to a monkey in her yard. And after upping the Thule like Winnie the Pooh, only one of them was left alive. So here's what we know so far. 21 monkeys riding on a truck. When it fell down, most got folks called the sheriff, and the sheriff had a scare when he said 3 monkeys are still out there. Till her mama woke up, and with what she had to do, she brought 3 monkeys down to 2. That's all we know for now, so the more you know. Also, this literally happened last year.
Here were some of the best celebrity Halloween costumes of 2025. Of course, I have to start every Halloween list with the Queen of Halloween, Heidi Klum, who unveiled her Halloween costume for this year to be a very frightening Medusa. And obviously, in their usual fashion, her husband, Tom Collins, joined in on the fun where he went as a warrior turned to stone by herself, Medusa. Heidi Klum stated that it took them about 10 hours to get into these costumes, that everything on them is hand-painted, and that there were 15 people working on the costume. Iconic as always. Another celebrity that always nails Halloween is Janelle Monáe, and she went as the Cat in the Hat this year. Janelle revealed that her costumes, just like Heidi's, do take a lot of time to put together, anywhere from 3 to 9 hours. But my favorite thing about her is that she commits to the bit, she acts like the character, and she even went on the Jennifer Hudson show in costume. Just in time for the TV series It, Welcome to Derry, Ed Sheeran dressed up as Pennywise himself. Not only that, but Ed Sheeran went in full costume to bars to drink beer all around New York City, and I'm obsessed with that. Next we have Quen Blackwell and Larry, who went as white chicks. They had the looks down to the T, and my favorite thing was how committed they were to the bit that they fully reenacted an entire scene for their YouTube channels. One thing about me, I love a Lizzo Halloween costume, and this year Lizzo went as a Chili's mozzarella stick. The Chili's mozzarella sticks have been trending all over social media for a while now, so I love this, but one thing about me is I hate a mozzarella stick, dare I say. Celebrity family costumes always melt my heart, and Justin Bieber, Hailey Bieber, and their son Jack Bieber went as the Incredibles. Chloe Bailey looked absolutely stunning when she went as Beyonce's Foxy Cleopatra from Austin Powers Goldmember. Charli D'Amelio absolutely devoured Halloween this year when she gave us not just one Cher look, not just 2 Cher looks, but 3 Cher-inspired Halloween costumes, and every single one she ate down. Every year we see at least one celebrity dress up as Jessica Rabbit, and it's always good, but sometimes I'm like, it might be overdone. However, Leah and Miguel from Love Island USA went as Jessica Rabbit and Roger Rabbit, and I am obsessed with this couple's costume. Because yeah, you can go as Jessica Rabbit, everybody does it, but get you a man who will dress up as Roger Rabbit. Paris Hilton had so many Halloween costumes this year, but my favorite had to be the family Peter Pan costume. Paris is dressed as Tinkerbell, her husband is Captain Hook, her kids are Peter and Wendy. If you can see her dog over here, he might be covered, but he is dressed as Smee. Looking unrecognizable, we have Jade Thirlwall, who dressed up as Greta from Gremlins 2. Lastly, someone who loves a transformation for Halloween is Amelia de Moldenberg, who dressed up as the Devil. I love her attention to detail. She did Roz last year. The Devil this year is incredible. I'm obsessed. Let me know in the comments who your favorite was, and let me know who I should add in part 2.
I don't think I would ever dress up as that. Halloween, bro. Those are some crazy costumes, man.
These are some facts that could save your life one day. If you've been stabbed or punctured by a sharp object, your immediate thought's probably going to be, I need to get this out of my body right now. But unfortunately, that's the last thing you want to do. When you get stabbed by an object, it actually is used as a plug to stop the bleeding from happening. And if you take it out, you're going to start pouring blood everywhere, you're going to lose more blood, and you'll die. This is a pretty simple one I talked about before, but if you ever are at the beach and you hear a roaring sound, the ground starts to shake, or you notice the water starting to recede from the shore very quickly and a lot farther than normal, Run for your life to high ground. It's because these are all the telltale signs that a tsunami is headed directly for you. And yeah, you're just not going to make it out of that if you stay on the beach. And this is perhaps the most important one that I have. If you're ever traveling abroad and you're not in your home country, most places, especially over in Europe, you can use your phone and dial 112. This will automatically connect you to the nearest emergency service, and they'll get you the help that you need. Also, even if you don't have phone service, you can dial 911 in America, and it will still contact you through to a dispatcher. Look, I'm just trying to help you out over here today, alright? And that's why
this barber was touching himself while cutting the hair of a little boy, and the mom just let it happen. In October of 2025 in Texarkana, Arkansas, a woman named Crystal took her son to go get his hair cut. Before the initial haircut, Crystal was in contact with the barber, 32-year-old Jodacy Sam Juan Smith. In these leaked text messages, Jodacy is asking Crystal if it's okay if he pleasures himself while giving her son a haircut. Instead of Crystal saying no, reporting it, or making sure that her son never steps foot near this barber, all she says is, "Don't let my baby see that," and he replies saying he won't. Even though Crystal knows what's going to be going on, she still takes her son to this barber shop knowing that Jodacy is going to be pleasuring himself, and she doesn't see a problem with it. This photo was taken and leaked online. It's of Jodacy touching himself while giving the young boy a haircut, and I'm not sure if Crystal is the one who took it or if this was somebody else. Police were made aware of this incident, and they issued a warrant for Jodacy's arrest. As of right now, authorities are still trying to look for Jodacy, but I also feel like Crystal should be arrested as well. This poor boy was brought to this horrible situation, and as a parent, you're supposed to protect your child, not put them in harm's way. The fact that Crystal even allowed this to happen in the first place makes you think, what happens at home behind closed doors?
I'm camping alone on the world's most haunted island, and this is an update. So the island that I'm on is Poveglia Island in Italy, and it is technically illegal to visit this island, so I would not recommend doing this at home. But at this point, we are just searching the grounds of the island for a proper place to set up my tent. And as you can see in this footage, it started thunderstorming. The thunder and lightning was literally booming and echoing throughout the entire facility. And then we started our paranormal investigation, which I filmed, which was crazy. And I have to say, I felt like I was being watched throughout every hallway. Here is my tent, and at this point in the night, it's almost time for my friend, the boat driver Victor, to head home.
The world is a crazy place to live right now. A top army general is using ChatGPT to make decisions impacting thousands of soldiers. He quote said, "Chat and I have become really close lately, and it helps us all for predicting the next steps." Ireland is making a basic income for artists program that they were testing for the last few years a permanent solution. A girls basketball team in Oklahoma returned their championship trophy after it was decided they actually didn't win. They apparently got the score wrong when they counted it back, causing the team to lose by 1 point instead of win by 1 point. A man wins his case in court for speeding after a judge determined that there was no evidence he was even driving. The Toronto City Council is saying, quote, "Pickleballers are making too much racket and could face new rules." Also happening in Toronto's waterfront, microorganisms are coming back to life after being buried in the soil for over 130 years.
That's scary, bro. You don't know what they're bringing, man. After 130 years, bro, we need to analyze that expeditiously, bro.
Nothing beats the Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save 50...
To be fair, I'd expeditiously evacuate my soul and my bowels if I saw that in the water. At least if I didn't know what it was. So here's some Thresher Shark propaganda, because there's honestly nothing to fear. I mean that more for him than you. They're never not looking like they really need an adult. You ever search for social anxiety with gills, you will get a literal baby shark. They look like their own existence is a jump scare. It's because the big eyes help with grocery shopping where the sun barely shines part-time. They are introvert-coded though, as they're shy, avoid people, and have no real record of hurting a human. I think, allegedly. Also, Big Eye Thresher's actual name. They do these like daily migrations where they hide in a dark abyss during the day and only come up to eat at night. Now don't get it twisted, a shark is a shark and nature didn't cook for longer than Saturn's had rings just to make a shark that couldn't defend itself. Except it's not the teeth, it's a 50 Shades of Grey cosplay most people would call a tail. Threshers hunt by slapping the absolute daylights at a prey with that whip-like tail to stun them. But they could also deliver 12 years of prejudice on a person with one hit. There are legends of fishermen messing with a thresher until it whipped its tail and took one of their heads off. Now, do I believe it? Not really, but the same tail that's instant NyQuil to fish, and even some birds, like, yeah, they will pimp slap Tweety right out the air, would easily knock your teeth out and probably break your neck. But then again, if you make this tsundere shark choose violence, you probably earned it. Also, I don't know what the record for shark vertical is, but the thresher is literally up there. Science says it's to remove parasites, disorient prey, or just to flex for females. But either way, I love me some thresher shark, that's all I gotta say.
3 fascinating secrets taken to the grave. Part 1, number 3. Axel Erlandson was a Swedish-American farmer who became famous for his sculpted trees, which he named circus trees. Erlandson never revealed the secrets of his techniques, claiming he spoke to the trees. Even after his death in 1964, the exact method he used to create these incredible shapes remains a mystery. Number 1. The Unknown. In the fall of 1816 in Alexandria, Virginia, 2 people, a man and his wife, entered Gadsby's Tavern Hotel. The woman was seriously ill, and despite the care she received, she passed away shortly after. The man, devastated by the loss, buried her anonymously and disappeared, leaving behind a mysterious epitaph on her grave. His identity, as well as that of his late wife, remain an unsolved mystery to this day.
Hey, yo, pause. I know what you're thinking. That's an alien. We call this a salp, and low-key, I don't think they're from this planet. They move around and eat by contracting their muscles to draw water into their bodies through an oral siphon, and shoot that water out from the back, which propels them forward. They're neither fish nor jellyfish, but a special type of animal called a tunicate, also officially known as sea squirts. Soft, sticky, and always wet, they rely on their muscular grip to feed on tiny phytoplankton as their primary food source, which is honestly the least interesting thing about them, because they also have the ability to clone themselves, with a single salp capable of replicating itself into a long chain containing dozens of them tens of meters long. And when linked, they move in complete sync with each other, each salp reacting to the other's rhythms within milliseconds. More like neurons in a brain rather than individual creatures. Some biologists speculate this insane coordination may be a sort of primitive distributed intelligence, where many salps connected together all retain a singular consciousness. And they also have crazy regenerative abilities, with even a tiny piece of one capable of growing into a complete new salp. And as you can tell, they're also almost completely transparent. You can see all of their internal organs from the outside, practically invisible in our oceans. And before you say anything,
she chopped off her 11-month-old's arms because apparently God told her to. 35-year-old Dina Schlosser was a mother of 3 girls and lived in Plano, Texas with her husband John. Once her youngest daughter Margaret was born, she struggled with severe postpartum psychosis and bipolar disorder. In 2004, once Margaret was born, Dina's mental health declined rapidly. She began hearing voices, seeing visions, and told people that a demon was after her baby. And once CPS got involved, they allowed her to still stay at the home with her children as long as she was on medication and under supervision. Over the next few months, John slowly stopped refilling Dina's medication because their pastor claimed that relying on medication showed a lack of faith in God. They were a part of a deeply religious church and believed that mental illness was spiritual, not medical. Once Dina stopped taking her medication fully, she became more unstable, started praying obsessively, and even talked about biblical sacrifice. Just days before tragedy, Dina saw a news report about a young boy who lost his arms after being mauled by a lion but survived. She became obsessed with the story, and to her it wasn't a horror, it was a sign. Dina truly believed that God was showing her this as a sign and that a child could live without their arms. So she started talking about sacrifice, purity, wanting to give her baby to God, and even wanting to give Margaret to their pastor so that he could marry her. On November 21st of 2004, Dina was talking to John that something dark was following their baby Margaret and that God was calling her home. She stayed up that night writing in her journal about how she wanted to give her daughter to God, and John went to bed and went to work the next morning as if nothing was wrong. The next morning, November 22nd, around 10 a.m., Dina was alone in her apartment with 11-month-old Margaret. Church music was playing in the background when supposedly God told Dina to give Margaret to him. So Dina picked up a large kitchen knife and severed both of her daughter's arms. At 10:12 a.m., Dina calls John to let him know that she had just cut off their daughter's arms, and instead of John calling 911, he calls her neighbor to ask if she can go check on Dina because he was busy at work. Once that neighbor entered the apartment and realized what had happened, they immediately called 911. Once police arrived to the apartment, they found Dina covered in blood, calm, with church music playing in the background. Margaret was immediately rushed to the hospital, but unfortunately didn't survive. Dina was charged with capital murder, but a jury found her not guilty due to reason of insanity, and she was sent to a state mental hospital instead of prison. John ended up divorcing Dina, gained full custody of their other daughters, and Dina was permanently banned from contacting them. She was eventually released under strict psychiatric supervision, but was sent back after she was—
This man lost his life after his pet hippo turned on him. Marius Els adopted 5-month-old baby Humphrey and took him to live in his 400-acre farm in South Africa. When Humphrey was a baby, everything was fine, but a lot of people warned Marius how dangerous Humphrey can become when he gets bigger. Marius ignored everyone and treated Humphrey like a pet. He would even ride on his back for fun and showed zero fear of this hippo. But it wasn't long until Humphrey got bigger and he eventually reached 1.2 tons and attacked Marius's nephew and almost killed him. But that's not all. In 2011, Humphrey attacked Marius in front of his family and took his life. This all happened when Marius called Humphrey to eat, and according to Marius's family, Humphrey's demeanor was different on this day, basically showing signs of aggression. Marius believed that his pet hippo would never betray him, so he ignored all these signs. When he continued to call Humphrey out of the water to eat, Humphrey suddenly stormed out and attacked Marius, biting into his body multiple times and then dragging him into the water. And this all happened in front of his family, the same people that warned Marius about Humphrey. What's crazy is that even though hippos look super sweet and cute compared to other wild animals, they actually kill more people each year than any other mammal on this planet. Just something to keep in mind.
They wild animals, man.
Greater Buenos Aires mysteriously turned red, sparking fears among locals of a toxic spill, according to local reports. Local media say that authorities have collected water samples to investigate the discoloration of the river, which flows into the Rio de la Plata and is near an ecological reserve, according to Reuters. Initial findings from government agencies suggest that the substance may not be toxic, according to Reuters.
Morbid facts.
It's not toxic, so so why is the water red? Maybe it's a sign. It was coming like, back in the old days, but there's something going on, man. That's in Rio too. I'm definitely going to have to freaking check up on that, man. My sensor's going off on that one.
Part 509. In 2016, Texas father Daniel Shaver was held up by police after he was seen pointing a pellet gun out of his hotel window. Several officers had rifles pointed at Schaefer in the hallway as he attempted to comply with them, but their commands were confusing and contradictory, especially since Shaver was drunk. For example, they told Shaver not to put his hands down for any reason before telling him to start crawling towards them. As Shaver was crawling and begging for his life, he reached back to pull his pants up and was killed instantly by Officer Philip Brailsford, who later claimed he thought Shaver was reaching for a weapon. Brailsford was charged with second-degree murder and found not guilty, since the full unedited footage wasn't released until hours after his acquittal. Brailsford was rehired by the department and reimbursed for all the medical expenses he paid, while seeking treatment for the PTSD he claimed he acquired from the shooting. Because of this, Brailsford was medically retired and now collects a $2,500 pension every month.
Man, that's a chilling story. And that's how, man, me personally, I ain't playing with no freaking BB guns and stuff like that, because people can misinterpret it and a real situation could happen. So I don't play with that stuff. It ain't worth it. You saw firsthand. Trust me, man. You know what this is.
This is what they meant when they said, don't talk to strangers. In the early 1900s, a 10-year-old boy was playing in the woods when a tall man appeared and asked if he wanted to come back to his cabin for dinner. Totally caught off guard, the boy reluctantly agrees and begins walking. When they get to the cabin, the boy is relieved when he sees Paul, a family friend, sitting on the porch, so the boy happily goes inside. After they eat, the boy says thank you to the strange tall man, says bye to Paul, and then he leaves. He had only walked a few steps when he sees his family, along with Paul, running up the path towards him, frantically asking if he was okay. Confused, the boy says, "I'm just fine," and he looks at Paul and he's like, "Why didn't you tell them I was with you at the cabin?" And he points over his shoulder. Paul glances over the boy's shoulder and then narrows his eyes and says, "You were kidnapped by a cult 3 days ago. No one's seen you." Terrified, the boy turns around to look at the cabin he just came from, and it's gone. All he sees is a dark forest that stretches for miles.
What the hell?
Scary games you should never play. This is the cat scratch game. The game requires 2 players. Player 1, lie your back on the floor with your head resting on player 2's lap. Player 2 will recite one of these 2 stories while rubbing player 1's temples.
I never play any of these scary games that get suggested.
When player 2 has finished the story, stand up and pull up player 1's shirt. Their back should be covered in red claw marks. Many swear that whatever scratched them was something much more sinister than just a cat.
This is why it's always a bad idea to go to graveyards at night. Urban explorer Frank from Franco TV explored a graveyard in Peru. As he explores the area, he sees a group of people far in the corner. Not knowing what's going on and worried for his safety, he hides in a tomb waiting for them to leave. 30 minutes gone by, they turn off the lights and begin to leave. Scared someone may still be there, Frank waits 30 more minutes. As he makes his way to the tomb, what he finds is disturbing. Frank finds a circle of candles and what looks like a voodoo doll next to a star. He also finds a container with unknown contents. As Frank tries to communicate with the spirits in that area, he hears laughing coming from one of the graves. Worried for his safety, he decides to leave and says he doesn't want any problems or to be followed by anything there. As Frank makes his way out, he sees something horrifying. What looks like a person can be seen peeking at Frank from the corner of the tomb. But when he checks around the tomb, there's no one there.
Somebody was definitely still
Friendly
there.
reminder that if you're ever in Churchill, Canada, it is illegal, if not very frowned upon, to lock your car. The reason is so that if a polar bear comes after you, hiding in someone else's car might be your only option. Not only are polar bears one of the few animals that will actively try to eat humans, since they can track prey from miles away, they'll smell you way before you see them. Remember, if it's brown, get on the ground. If it's black, fight back. Talking about bears. If it's white like an addict's nose, your casket finna be closed.
Okay, stay away from polar bears. Once again, noted. I didn't know there was a law, I guess, where it was at that you had to keep your car door open because if we get to attack you like that, man. I keep thinking about that meme, bro. What the hell is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas?
This is a test to see if you have healthy eyes. If you pass all 5 levels, your vision is perfect.
Let's do
All
it.
you have to do is pick one out of the 10 colors that is different from the rest. Starting off easy, you can clearly see that number 7 is lighter than the rest of them. 97% of people pass this stage, but it's about to get way harder. Okay, let's move on to medium. This one is a little more difficult and will require a little more attention. The correct answer is 2. Level advanced is even harder. Only 30% of people make it past this stage, so really focus and you'll see that the correct answer is 4. Superhuman. This level is really going to test your vision, and I know these look identical, but if you look closely, number 4 is slightly different. And the final level, impossible. 92% of people failed this level, and the answer is 10. Were you right? Comment below.
Oh, man. I tried to pass that test. I think the last one, that's what really got to me, bro. But I basically passed it all up until the last one, man. Did you guys keep up?
Don't even get me started on Laura Karen. That teacher was sexually assaulting a 13-year-old boy since he was 11 years old, got pregnant with his baby, and then wasn't even arrested until the baby was 5. And as of today, she has been released from jail. If you've never heard of Laura Karen, she worked at Middle Township Elementary School. She was a 5th grade teacher, meaning that she primarily worked with 10 to 11-year-old students. And from 2016 to 2020, she was sexually abusing a boy who she had had as a student. She had also had his brother in her class. And obviously it was before this all came out, but he, his brother, and his sister, so 3 siblings, actually went to go live in her home for a period of time. And that was between 2016 and 2020, and that is when things got really bad for that boy. According to his sister, when that boy would go into the bathroom to take a shower, Laura would go into the bathroom and lock the door. Additionally, all of the siblings shared a bedroom in her house. However, in the morning when the 2 other siblings would wake up, they would notice that their brother wasn't there, and their brother was in bed with Laura. She had become friends with the parents of those siblings, and she was actually trusted to be a resource parent. In New Jersey, the term resource parent is a synonym for foster parent. But Laura took that trust and completely violated it. She violated their son, and she managed to get away with it for years until December of 2024. That is when she was arrested. I believe it was December 17th. It was found out because the child that she had was a son who looked a lot like the son who she sexually abused. And he looked a lot like the victim's father, and understandably so. And the victim confirmed to his sister that he was the father. She appeared in court today, Tuesday, January 21st of 2025. The judge has ruled that she can be released as her case continues.
A teacher gave a final exam where students had to draw and achieve a high score in the shortest possible time. While walking around the classroom, the teacher noticed one student drawing in an incredibly surprising and unconventional way. The student used a ruler and 2 pens to make their drawing perfectly identical to the reference image. What do you think about this?
This is how you can get full control over your body. If you're ever feeling really stressed or anxious, I got you. All you have to do is slowly blow on your thumb for 30 seconds like this. This will slow down your heartbeat and calm your nerves so you won't have to worry anymore. Next, if you ever wake up in the morning and your hand or arm has fallen asleep, all you have to do is shake your head and it will quickly go away. But if your leg falls asleep, all you have to do is wiggle your toes and your leg will be back to normal right away. If you're ever sick to your stomach and you want to get feeling better quickly, listen up. Squeeze down your left thumb like this to deactivate your gag reflex so you won't gag. And place your thumb right here on your wrist to get rid of your nausea. Finally, eating peanut butter before you fall asleep at night could change your life. It's scientifically proven that eating peanut butter before you fall asleep can help you fall asleep much faster. And it will also give you insanely vivid dreams.
A rare and mysterious illness is currently sweeping through a city in India, leaving patients suddenly paralyzed and unable to control their body. With what began as a child struggling to hold their pencil in January, has now escalated into a full-scale medical emergency. Of 170 reported cases, dozens in intensive care, at least 5 suspected deaths, and even teams from the WHO arriving in Pune to investigate. But here's what makes this illness so terrifying. It has what's referred to as the Russian roulette effect. You see, the bacteria that can trigger the paralysis is everywhere. It's found in contaminated food and water, and most people consume it at some point in their life without even knowing. But for reasons that scientists still don't fully understand yet, only in a small percentage of cases, this bacteria can trigger Guillain-Barré syndrome, which causes the immune system to go rogue, shutting down your body piece by piece. For example, last month, a school teacher noticed that our 6-year-old son couldn't hold his pencil properly, and within days, his legs and arms stopped working. He lost the ability to swallow, speak, and eventually breathe, requiring ventilator support. At that stage, you can think of it like having sleep paralysis while being fully awake. Now, because there is no cure for GBS, early intervention is critical, and that's why authorities have now set up special hospital wards, launched mass water testing, and called in the WHO in efforts to contain the outbreak and prevent more lives being put at risk. As the situation develops, I'll keep you guys updated.
This preacher calls
keep me up to date.
Paranormal in church. Let's watch it together.
Well, hey everybody, Pastor Aaron here. It's my pleasure just to announce that this Sunday will be open.
Oh nah.
Okay, we've been trying to do this announcement several times today already, and 3 times that podium back there has fallen over on its own, and it's stable. I mean, it's not wobbly at all.
Leave the church. I would leave.
It's kind of like
I'm hitting the jets.
Wow. That podium has been wobbling. Okay, so we checked the vent. There's a vent there that is not an air duct that has any forced air at all, so it can't be wobbling from that. There's absolutely no breeze in here. You can see by the banner there.
Call Ghostbusters.
This no air conditioning. It's these things, they're off. I don't know. So I'm just gonna sit here and watch it for a little bit, and we will see if it does it again.
Oh nah, I'm leaving.
Nothing's moving. That hasn't moving.
I'm leaving. You see that?
He's still there.
There's seriously nothing else. There's no breeze. It's moving again.
It's time to go.
Oh yeah, I'm out.
Have
I'm
you ever
hitting the
seen a
Jets.
boarding pass that's so big it could double as a billboard? Well, one man's oversized ticket has taken the internet by storm. This hilarious moment was caught on camera in an airport when a guy rolled up to the gate with what might just be the world's most dramatic boarding pass. Of course, it wasn't long before a very confused officer had to step in. While people who saw the huge boarding pass thought it was a joke, the passenger was completely serious. But as for the officer, he was trying his hardest to not crack up while keeping the situation serious. This lady just broke a Guinness World of Record by eating cotton candy. Meet Leia Shuckkeeper, a speed eater extraordinaire who just devoured an insane amount of cotton candy in only 60 seconds, shattering the Guinness World Record. But the best part? When she was presented with the Grinchy treat, she had one simple question. Why is it green? David Wilson, the adjudicator, couldn't help but respond with a smile and said, "It's quite Grinchy."
That candy floss. Why is it green? It's quite Grinchy. It is quite Grinchy.
To break the record, Leia had to demolish at least 45 grams of this sticky sweet green goo in under a minute. And did she? Of course she did, leaving her with sticky fingers and a sticky face. But Leia isn't just about cotton candy. She's also set records for inhaling 19 chicken nuggets in a minute and 10 Jolly Donuts in 3 minutes.
We now actually know what happens when we die. In some of the biggest news of the century, we've now got evidence suggesting that your life carries on after you die, and it gets a lot crazier than that. Make sure you share this video with your friends and family because you don't want to miss this. So an old woman was passing away, and as she died they had her hooked up to a machine which was monitoring her brain. Now what scientists got from these scans after she passed away was these photos, which don't look like much right now. But what these show is that a part of the brain, specifically the part of the brain that processes memories and experiences, was still active after death for around 8 minutes. And this is crazy because years ago I made a video saying about the 8 minutes after death and how your brain is still active. They did tests before on a man who died and found similar things, but nothing as concrete as this. As I say, from these scans, it showed that the brain was still active for around 8 minutes after this woman passed away. And specifically that she was processing memories, i.e. her life flashing before her eyes, a common term you've probably heard. So this suggests that when you pass away, your life does flash before your eyes. You get memory flashbacks and maybe relive parts of your life. It also links into the theory I've spoken about before and many people have said. Think about when you have a dream. Sometimes dreams can feel really real and time's different, time dilation of course. Sometimes you'll have a dream, it feels like an hour, but you wake up and it's been about 2 minutes. Well, the same might be happening in this 8 minutes after death. Reliving memories, what feels like days, weeks, but it's only in the 8 minutes. Or maybe even like a lucid dream, creating some sort of new reality. So what's to say you're not dead right now in that 8 minutes? And this is all just a figment of your imagination.
What are the chances of 2 rivers?
That brings up a good point, man, especially at the end. That's like the simulation theory. That's what I got. But life, we heard before, you know, like your life flashed before your eyes. Guess there's some truth to that. We learning today.
2,000 miles apart, mysteriously turning blood red at the same time. And we don't know the cause for either. Worried residents in both Lima, Peru and Buenos Aires, Argentina have shared footage online reporting strong odors accompanying the discoloration. One local described the scene saying, "It looks like a stream of blood. We have never seen it like this." Now, while we don't know for sure what's caused either yet, I wouldn't go as far as saying it's a scene from a biblical prophecy. I'll just leave that there for a second. Rather, in Peru, environmental experts believe that it could be caused by pollutants discharged from mines and drainage pipes flowing into the river. Despite this, local water supplier, Cinepal, assured the public that the water is still safe to drink. And they better be bloody right, because this river is one of the country's most important water sources. And then for the river in Argentina, authorities suspect the presence of aniline, which is a toxic substance used in dyes, and they believe that it could have been dumped there by local companies. But then again, if Jesus did want to come back, it's not a bad time.
Those freaking two rivers turn red connected.
Susan Lewis and her daughter Jamie moved into a new home in Southern California, and shortly after moving in, Susan's new boyfriend Matt, he moved in as well. Also, Matt had a daughter named Marie, who was the same age as Jamie. A few weeks after moving in, Susan goes into the kitchen and she sees on the counter that a peanut butter jar had its lid off and had been turned on its side. Peanut butter seemed to be running out of the jar like it had been melted. So she figures one of the kids must have come in here and for whatever reason, microwaved the peanut butter and then dumped it on the counter. And Jamie would say that she literally laughed at her mom, like, why would I do that? And Marie too is like, no, I didn't touch the peanut butter. And all four of them spend the rest of the day goofing around outside near the pool. Later that day, They find that there have been cans that you would keep in your pantry, like canned food, stacked on each of the steps leading upstairs. They also find that there have been random objects placed all over the house in strange patterns. Hairbrushes arranged in a star pattern on the counter. They open the microwave and find peanut butter jars and other random canned foods and stuffed animals from the kids' rooms in the microwave. The cleaning materials underneath the sink had been pulled out and arranged in a height line from shortest to tallest. They think that someone's invaded their house, so they run back out again, and no one's come near their property. Ultimately just kind of moved on. In the last couple of weeks that they ever stayed at this house, because they would leave, 2 major events occurred. The first one happened when Marie was home alone. She's sitting in the living room watching TV, and at some point the TV starts turning off and on. And the TV finally just turns off. She can't get it on. She reaches for the remote. The remote flies off the table as all the pictures on the walls just start one by one falling off the wall. She takes her camera in her hand and kind of turns it and just starts taking pictures of the room. There are these weird orbs of light that are very clearly in the room with her. The second major event that occurred in those final 2 weeks, Jamie was in her room and she starts hearing pounding on her door. She started filming this pounding on her door.
Seen this firsthand.
And so she didn't open the door, and she went back onto her bed, and she just sat there in the fetal position for 3 hours, listening to something smashing nonstop into the door. She opens the door, and there's no one there. But the door on the outside, where the knocking had been happening, there's this huge dent and divot in the door. She sees that now there is a frying pan sitting in the hall that has a toilet paper roll completely on fire. Grabs a sweatshirt and she smothers the fire, and she goes outside defeated and just sits on the front steps of her house. Jamie explains what happens, and that was it. And so they barely packed up and they left that house. It didn't sell. Susan literally went bankrupt, and soon after they left the neighborhood, their neighbors left the neighborhood, and 5 other neighbors in their immediate vicinity all left. All of the houses did not sell. They are all vacant.
Well, let's talk about one of the scariest urban legends that actually turned out to be true. In the 1970s in Long Beach, California, there was an amusement park called the Pike Amusement, and inside this park was this creepy little fun house called Life in the Dark.
Okay.
Inside of Life in the Dark were a bunch of mannequins, and this urban legend started circulating around that all of them were fake except one. There was just something about this mannequin that turned people away. They said it was a little too human, and they even said that the area around it was just stanky. So flashing forward to a few years later, a TV crew comes in to film The $6 Million Man, and they decide to use Laugh in the Dark as one of their sets. So the director's trying to get the perfect shot, and this one mannequin that's been in question is in the shot, but he's just not liking how it's looking with it in it. So he asked one of the crew members to move it. So this crew member goes over, and when he tries to move the mannequin, its arm falls off. Inside is human bone. It's actually a mummified body. The body belonged to Elmer McCurdy, who was dubbed the bandit who wouldn't give up. He was an outlaw who was robbing a train in Oklahoma in 1911 when he was taken out by the police. His body was on display at an Oklahoma funeral home, but ownership changed and he got shifted around and around and around until he finally ended up at the Pike Amusement, and everyone thought he was fake until he was finally positively ID'd in 1976.
This is why you should never read someone else's diary. Once there was a girl named Samantha who took her friends to her dad's lake house because her dad grew up in the area and actually named the lake after her, Lake Samantha. But as soon as her friends arrived, they noticed something strange. There was a doll hanging on every door in all the houses in town. Samantha explained it's because of a local urban legend. Years ago, a man escaped from an insane asylum nearby, unalived his entire family, then disappeared. Since then, people would go missing around the same time every year, so the dolls were used for protection. But after spending a day by the lake, Samantha and her friends found an old diary, half buried in the dirt near an abandoned house. They opened it up and saw multiple entries dating back to the 80s. But the most terrifying part was the last entry dated August 13, 2010. And it said, "I'm so proud of my daughter. She doesn't hear the voices and she has a lot of friends. Sometimes I take her to these woods. I even named the lake after her." That's when they all heard the sound of twigs snapping behind them. And when they turned around, they saw Samantha's father, saying, "You weren't supposed to find that. Follow for more."
Records that will never be broken again. Number 1, the woman with the most children. Back in the 1800s, a Russian woman named Vasiliev gave birth to 69 total children.
God
she
damn.
had 16 pairs of twins, 7 triplets, and 4 quadruplets. And no one has come close to matching that number since. Number 2, the most nuclear explosions ever survived. This is Tsutomu Namaguchi. He has survived 2 different nuclear explosions. Tsutomu was on a business trip when the first nuclear bomb was dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. After miraculously surviving that explosion, he returned to his hometown of Nagasaki just in time to witness the second atomic bombing. But again, he miraculously survived and lived till the age of 93.
Do you know how lucky you have to be to survive 2 of those events in history? Yeah, something on his side. Because he survived 2 of them. That's insane. And those women who held those kids, I don't think that record's probably ever going to be broken. 69? What the hell?
Are the creepiest YouTube channels to ever exist.
Talk about it.
Part 1. Number 1, Meat Sleep. Meat Sleep began posting in 2015 and has since then stopped posting, but that still doesn't change the fact that its horrifying videos and very disturbing history linked to the channel gives it a spot on this list. Meat Sleep then removed the several videos it had on the channel even after garnering over 16,000 subscribers, but that still doesn't change the fact that some people saw some very terrible things. Most of the channel consisted of videos that seemed to be of people being stalked, but there was one video in particular that people pointed out that really just got under their skin. There was one video on the channel titled Meat Pig, which in cannibals' terms is actually human meat. Many people believe that the creator behind these videos is secretly a murderer and a cannibal as well. I assume the creator of this channel is still unknown, but who knows, they may be in jail.
And they was posting on YouTube and getting away with it? That was evidence right there. Man. Meat Sleep. First time hearing about that, man. Top in with us, you're gonna learn. Just edit.
This
All them
teenager
out.
killed his mom over a bad grade. This is 15-year-old Gregory Ramos. And on November 2nd, 2018, Gregory Ramos got into a fight with his mother, Gail Clevenger. The fight started over his bad school grades, which resulted in him strangling his own mother to death. Gregory then proceeded to call 2 of his friends to help him bury her body and stage a robbery at his house. Gregory buried her body under a church fire pit and was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Now, what I'm about to show you is Gregory explaining exactly how he committed the murder, and it's absolutely disturbing, because keep in mind, this was his own mother.
Whatever. Alright, I'll tell you what happened. Alright, so I got home, I got an argument with my mom, she slapped me across the face, she began to hit me, she started beating me, I didn't like it, so I strangled her to death. Alright? I put her in a wheelbarrow, I put her in my car, I took the car, I had a mental breakdown where I almost committed suicide 3 times. I drove around Daytona, I dropped the wheelbarrow in some random ass location, and I drove back to the church. I began to dig a hole. I dig a hole right under the fucking fire pit. I dug a pretty deep hole, pretty deep. Yeah, deep enough to put a body in.
No remorse.
All this time, my mom was decomposing body. I dragged it from my car to the fire pit. In which case, I tried to cut the wedding ring off her finger because I wanted to pawn it, but I couldn't because I didn't have a knife strong enough to cut bones. Oh well, whatever. Anyways, so I dug that hole, threw her body in there, filled back in, made it look all nice and natural, dumped my clothes, and then I went home.
I'm being serious. If you ever see this at the beach, do not touch it. And if it ever latches onto you like this, get help immediately. Before you do anything else, favorite this video because this could actually save your life one day. Now, at first glance, like me, you would think this is an alien creature from the deepest corners of hell. Whereas in fact, this is actually a detached octopus limb. And yes, if an octopus's arm becomes disconnected from its body, it does have the ability to live on for a short period of time by itself, explaining why it's able to move like a creature straight out of an alien movie. This, of course, is absolutely horrifying and a brand new conversation to bring up with your therapist if you saw this going about its business on the beach. Now, the suction power of this single arm would be incredibly difficult to remove on your own. Because if you didn't know, one suction cup from an octopus can hold up to 35 pounds. And I am talking Great British. And on top of that, hurts. Like, really badly. Now, this most likely wouldn't make this gentleman a Twitter hashtag. However, I wouldn't like to imagine if this was stuck on a more sensitive part of the body. Like the neck. So here's the best case scenario. You see it, you avoid it, you survive. I've said this to literally anyone you know because they might need this video one day.
In 2010.
That's crazy, bro. I didn't even know freaking an octopus, I guess arm or leg had that much freaking suction power, bro. So if you see it, follow his advice, turn away, bro. Don't try to attach that onto your body, man. We learned it.
And an avid caver named Jeff decided to go to Madagascar to explore a natural cave shaft he had discovered years earlier. He arrived in country. Jeff enters the cave when he notices something out of the corner of his eye, and he sees thousands of black widow spiders trying to escape the light. As much as Jeff wanted to stop right there and go right back up to the surface, he couldn't. He needed technical gear, and his technical gear was packed in his backpack, and so he would have to descend to the bottom, then take his pack off, get the gear out, and go back up. He began his slow, awful descent into this cave filled with spiders. If he bumped into the wall, he'd hear them scatter all over the walls, and then he saw them climbing on his sleeve, he saw them on the rope. Finally gets to the bottom, and he opens it up. Spiders crawl out of his bag, carefully reaches in and pulls out his technical gear, throws it up, and he begins making his way back up. Once he gets to the surface, the first thing he does is he strips all of his clothing off to get all the spiders off of his clothing. Luckily, he doesn't get bent-in. He takes his notebook out, and he scratches off the title he had given this cave from the last time he was here, which was the Crooked Tube. He scratches that out, and on top of it, he writes, "The entrance to hell."
Things we all believed as kids. For some reason, I thought that if I swallowed watermelon seeds, an entire tree would grow inside of me. Now at night, if you didn't start running to your room as soon as you turned off the lights, the monster that was somehow chasing you would catch you and eat you. A blanket could literally protect us from anything, and I would still argue that my blanket is a modern-day shield. My parents used to tell me if I crossed my eyes for long enough, my eyes would stay stuck that way forever.
Yep, those were like myths as the kids.
Things you can't unsee. The KFC logo looks like Colonel Sanders has a tiny body. Now I can never unsee it. Have you ever noticed that the letter G is simply a spinning arrow? Those drowning signs at the beach look very similar to LOL. There's nothing funny about drowning. The Dodge Viper logo looks like Daffy Duck upside down. Ever noticed how water fountain drains look like a Wi-Fi logo? This sign for a German school looks a bit suspicious. Did you know there's a bear hidden inside the Toblerone logo? Did you ever notice Nelson from The Simpsons is simply a young Barney? And in the 7-Eleven logo, only the N is in lowercase. The Hunger Games Mockingjay logo looks very similar to Johnny Bravo. And I bet you never realized the Big Bang Theory's Dexter's Laboratory grown up. Also, the collar on the Wendy's girl says Mom. Homer Simpson has MG sneaked onto him. These are the initials of Matt Groening, The Simpsons creator.
I never realized.
And finally, the Adidas logo kind of looks like a sinking ship.
Damn, all these hidden logos and stuff, bro. They were right in front of our eyes and we never even knew. It goes to make you think, man, what other logos have hidden messages behind it? The more you know. That's the edit. We're calling them out.
Scary facts that will blow your mind. Part 1. The middle of nowhere is an actual place within New Mexico. The legend goes that an elderly couple lived out there with their dog and witnessed many strange and bizarre things. One night, they reported seeing a strange creature that they identified as a skinwalker. After reporting this to the police, the family had vanished under strange circumstances. Their dog, however, was left behind. This is the story that Courage the Cowardly Dog was based off of. Like and follow for more.
Adult jokes in kids' cartoons you probably didn't notice.
Hey, Judy! Wanna pollinate with a real bug? Oh, lady, cut like lava. Yeah.
So, being a ladybug automatically makes me a girl. Is that it, flyboy? Huh?
Yikes! She's a god!
What would
would happen
What
if
the
he didn't
heck?
have a shower for 60 years? This is the world's dirtiest man, and he was born in 1928 in Iran, and apparently he hasn't taken a shower in 60 years, because he says he's scared of water and he thinks having a shower could kill him. And because he hasn't showered for so long, his immune system has gotten used to his body being this dirty. But over the years, people from other towns have challenged him to have a shower in exchange for money, and he still tells them that he's so scared of it. So they offered him even more money, so he took it. But a few days after taking a shower, he died, because apparently his immune system was not used to him being so clean, which caused his body to go into extreme shock and pain. And before he died, he described the pain as a sharp burning sensation. What do you think caused this?
He really passed away because he took a shower? One of the most bizarre cases we've seen yet, Seekers.
A bad guy.
Bermuda Triangle? Yeah, that's another one. Antarctica. We ain't going to those places, man. That's off the bucket list. There's this guy that's added. Call him like we see it.
A time traveler just took a lie detector test and passed it. I'm about to share with you all of his predictions for the upcoming future. So quickly make sure to favorite this video so we can come back to it to see if he was right. Let's start off with August of 2028, where aliens are meant to land here on Earth.
Yes, it is true that aliens did land on Earth in August 2028.
In fact, he states that we already know about the existence of aliens before this, as it becomes public knowledge. What? Next up, in the year 2030, the world will be governed under one law. This actually isn't a bad one. All of Earth's countries converge into one super nation.
In 2030, all of the world's countries converge into one super nation.
Next up, he goes on to say he has a chip inside of him. In fact, all humans from 2045 have this. And it has a name. Watch this.
I do have an implanted chip in my hand known as the One.
He claims it'll be rolled out to the public in 2029. It's a good thing no one's working on this, right? But there's even more predictions, and as I said, he was on a lie detector machine, in which every single answer came out true. In fact, even the lie detector machine guy said that he answered very quickly and very confidently. So it leads me to ask you this, is it all real? Now do me a favor, send this to literally anyone you know, because your friends need to see this.
Before and after animals growing up. This is what a baby white tiger looks like. They're born blind and only weigh 2 to 3 pounds, but they soon turn into this. Adult white tigers are ferocious and dangerous. They have a bite force of 1,050 psi. To put that in perspective, a human's bite force is 162.
Damn.
They also grow razor-sharp teeth. This is what a baby Alaskan Malamute looks like. They're born with blue eyes and are tiny, fluffy, and cute. But when they grow up, they look like this. They become powerful and fierce, and their blue eyes change to brown, amber, or hazel. This is what a baby salamander looks like. They are tiny at only 2.5 centimeters in length, but when they grow older, they turn massive. Their skin turns thick and scaly. They also live for a very long time, sometimes 80 years or more. This is what a baby crocodile looks like. They're very cute and tiny at only 20 centimeters, but they're not so cute when they grow up. They become one of the most aggressive animals known to man, and can weigh a mind-blowing 2,200 pounds. This is what a baby pit bull looks like. They're very cute with oversized eyes and ears. But when they get older, they become very muscular.
Damn.
If not raised well, these can be very dangerous, which is why pit bulls are banned in over 10 countries.
What you're about to see is intense. What you just saw is the United States Coast Guard raiding a high-speed submarine in the Eastern Pacific Ocean moving more than 17,000 pounds of cocaine. On June 18th, 2019, a Coast Guard surveillance aircraft tracked and intercepted the drug-filled narco sub hundreds of miles off the Colombian-Ecuadorian coastline. The video shows a member of the Coast Guard riding on top of the speeding submarine
Oh, what the hell?
He then starts pounding on the hatch and demanding it to come to a stop. 3 other Coast Guard members then jump ship and board the 40-foot-long submarine. The video then continues, and you see the presumed trafficker emerging from the submarine hatch with his hands up, surrender. And in total, 5 alleged smugglers were seized on board the vessel and were handed over for prosecution by the United States Drug Enforcement Administration.
Are these your friends, the police?
Now, just watch the full encounter unfold. It's honestly something straight out of a video game.
Okay. Did he have to like jump onto the sub? Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be hard to get on.
Is he speaking like another language too? Oh yeah, he definitely jumped. This is something like out of a movie scene. Whew.
Job? These criminals survive long enough to have that justice served.
That was like out of a movie scene. Serious. Where's another edit? Stay away from those dolls.
Country, they decided that these are the top 21 most hated foods in the world. Coming in at number 21 is Brussels sprouts.
Really?
Science were born to innately reject bitter foods. I couldn't agree more. At number 20 is cantaloupe. I don't agree with this at all. I love cantaloupe. Do I like it as much as watermelon, dragon fruit? No, but it definitely should not be on this list. At number 19 is pickles. I personally love pickles, but a lot of people voted them on the list because they're obnoxious shape. Also, people don't like their sour smell and annoying crunch. At number 18 is black licorice. Definitely.
Yep.
Compared to red licorice or other candy, yeah, it needs to be on that list. At number 17, you guessed it, canned tuna. Tuna salad was actually labeled as Atlanta, Georgia's #1 most hated food. At number 16 is candy corn.
Candy corn.
I love it so much, I do not understand that. At number 15 is Spam. I just don't understand the hype behind the canned meat. At number 14 is mayonnaise. I actually have a traumatic childhood experience with mayonnaise, so I would put this at number 1 on my list. At number 13 is ginger, based off of its smell. I actually love ginger, and when I'm sick, I make a hot honey lemon ginger tea. It's the way to go. At number 12 is liver. Do I even need to say more?
Yeah, no.
At number 11 is pineapple pizza. If you're somebody that likes pineapple on your pizza, jail.
Not me.
Just go. Jail. Now for the top 10, bologna. I used to love bologna as a kid, and then I had it like 20,000 times. I haven't had it in like literally 25 years. Number 9 is circus peanuts. Totally disagree with that. I love these things so much. Number 8 is eggplants. Doesn't taste like eggs at all and super bitter. Definitely should be on the list. Number 7 is bitter gourd. I've personally never had it before, but I guess it has good medicinal traits. It was voted as one of the most hated foods in China.
Okay.
Number 6 is the durian fruit. Supposedly it doesn't taste bad, but the smell is absolutely awful. And for our top 5 comes tomatoes.
Tomatoes?
I've tried so hard to like tomatoes, the different textures, I just can't get with it. Number 4 is mushrooms. This one blew me away because I love mushrooms on pizza, by themselves, as a meat substitute, but I guess the rest of the world doesn't think so. Number 3 is cilantro. Now there's actually a genetic reason behind this. If you ask a room of 100 people if they like cilantro, 14% of them will say it tastes like soap. At number 2 is olives. A lot of people think they have a very bitter, distinct flavor, and some people say they're an acquired taste. And at number 1 on the list, you guessed it, beets.
Beets?
33% of the world said they hated beets because of their earthy flavor. Let me know in the comments which food is your least favorite and which ones you thought
And women in Japan are actually paying to stay in prison. See, Japan's elderly population is skyrocketing, and with it, a shocking trend. There has been a surge in elderly women committing crimes like shoplifting deliberately to get sent to prison because the loneliness on the outside is so severe. In fact, in the last 20 years, the number of elderly inmates has risen by almost 300%. See, because on the outside, these women often live alone with no family to visit them or financial support to rely on. One inmate interviewed said her 43-year-old son, who she was living with, once said to her, "I don't care when you die, I wish you'd just go away." But now she's behind bars, she has routine, people to speak with, meals, and even medical care. Rather than shouting at them, the guards go as far as changing their diapers, helping them bathe, eat, and even take their medication. One said it now feels more like an elderly home rather than a prison full of convicted criminals. There's some that even say they will pay 20 to 30,000 yen a month just to live there forever. And even though they eat their meals in a cell alone in silence, just knowing that others are around is enough.
I was just about to say that. That doesn't sound like a prison. That sounds like an elderly home. But the fact that they have to go to that extreme just to get there, just so they won't feel alone anymore when their families left them, that's sad, truly.
Here's some of the dumbest crimes committed by children, except each time it gets dumber. A 12-year-old kid in Rockville, Maryland has admitted to police that he sent in at least 7 bomb threats to various schools in his area. And he said that he did it because he knew that he couldn't be charged for it. Which is true, because in Maryland, children under the age of 13 can only be charged for something that falls under a crime of violence. The kid was smart enough to know the law, but dumb enough to call in a bunch of bomb threats for some reason. The kid might actually have a bright future ahead of him. At a theme park in North Carolina, a 13-year-old boy climbed inside of a claw machine to steal one of the toys and got stuck. According to reports, he spent 17 minutes inside of it until someone was able to come pull him out, after which he was banned from the park for a year for attempted theft and being a dumbass. In North Carolina, a 6-year-old boy was arrested for picking flowers from a yard while waiting at a bus stop. The crazy part is he actually had to go to court for destruction of property. The kid's attorney was quoted saying the boy's attention span was so short she had to give him a picture to color during the trial. Thankfully, the case was dismissed, but this happened because North Carolina has one of the lowest minimum ages for criminal charges, and most recently it was just raised to 8 years old. My question is, who the hell is calling the cops on a 6-year-old?
Yeah, who? And the fact that he had to go to court for picking flowers? What's wrong with people, man? This is a kid. You can't let that slide. It's not like you're doing things
happening in
destructive.
the world right now. If the Chiefs defeat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, the Eagles' all-time record will be 666 wins and 666 losses. A judge annulled the marriage of a couple after the bride came to the court and said that she only participated in the wedding because she thought it was a social media prank. Another judge sentenced a woman for setting a home on fire with 3 other people in it using Takis tortilla chips. A bank robber was dazed and confused when his getaway bike was stolen. A Texas teenager was accused of using poison to end the life of a rival's competition show goat. A man in Cleveland was quoted saying he's tired of cars running into his house all the time after 3 have crashed in the last 10 years. A man in California was arrested after he told the officer he was the DUI instead of the DD. A woman was rescued after getting caught in an Italian cave for the 2nd time in 2 years. The EU fined the EU for breaking EU data protection law.
Fun facts you wouldn't believe are true. Godzilla is an actual citizen of Japan. Some species of jellyfish are actually immortal. The patent for a fire hydrant was destroyed in a fire. Outer space is only 62 miles away. You could drive there in an hour. If you flattened your lungs out, they would have about the same surface area as a tennis court. Saturn is the lightest planet. If there was a big enough body of water, it would float. An astronaut spacesuit runs about $12 million. The moon looks close, but you can actually fit every planet in the solar system between the Earth and the moon. In a lab here on Earth, scientists created a plasma that reached a temperature of 9.9 trillion degrees Fahrenheit. Over 50,000 people on Earth have alien abduction insurance policies.
Here are 3
I need to
ways
get
to
on
hack
that.
your body. Number 1, if your arms ever fall asleep,
just shake your head like this and it will go away instantly. Number 2, if you ever have a stuffy nose, just hold your breath until you have to breathe again, and this will give you adrenaline, which will clear your sinuses. And number 3, if you ever have to really go to the bathroom but there's no place to go, just scratch the back of your calf as hard as you can. This will actually stall your brain, making it that you forgot you ever had to go.
I need to try that to see if that's actually true.
Facts that I wish I didn't know. When you die, the last thing to go is your hearing. So as all your other mortal sensations are leaving this world, the last thing you're ever going to experience are the sounds going on around you, which very well could be like your family members crying or cheering. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. When pigs get a cold, like a cough, very often they will shoot their intestines out of their anus, and farmers have to, like, stuff it there.
What? I heard that about pigs, but I assumed it was cat.
Human body
How does
parts
that
that are
happen?
completely useless now. Number 1 is your external ear. Auricular muscles control the visible part of the ear, but humans have lost the ability to control this muscle. And other mammals can move their ears with these muscles in order to detect prey and localize sound. Next is wisdom teeth. About 85% of adults nowadays will have at least one wisdom tooth. Our ancestors used to have larger jaws, so wisdom teeth fit better, which is why we get ours removed now, and it was the answer for the need for chewing power that they needed. Next is body hair. Body hair was once required for warmth, and you can see we've lost a lot of it over time. We now have it in a reduced form. Next is your appendix. In plant-eating mammals, the appendix helps digest cellulose, and the appendix might not be completely useless. A recent study found that it helps aid in good gut bacteria. So let's say you have diarrhea and your intestines are flushed out, it provides good bacteria back to your gut after that.
This is the 5th
More
series
you know.
movie according to science. Paranormal Activity, released December 3rd, 2008. Before watching this movie, your beats per minute is around 62. While watching the movie though, it's bumped up to 85, making it a 15% difference in your beats per minute. A woman and a husband move into their dream home in San Diego. Unfortunately, since the woman could remember, she had felt like she had a weird paranormal presence around her that wasn't good. After the first couple nights of living in the new house and they can't sleep, the husband then sets up a camera in the bedroom, and the things they see, well, I guess you're just gonna have to watch the movie. The movie, as I said, is called Paranormal Activity, and it is supposedly the 5th scariest movie, according to science.
Not for me. I know I don't do scary movies.
If you're celebrating Halloween, you need to know about this movie. This movie was so popular when I was a kid, but I realized a lot of people actually don't know about it. Trick or Treat is a 2007 horror movie that includes 5 different Halloween-themed horror stories. So I'm gonna explain all 5 of them. The first story, called Opening, is about Emma and her boyfriend Henry who go home on Halloween night. Emma blows out a jack-o'-lantern and starts tearing down all their Halloween decorations, not knowing that someone is watching her, and she's just made a terrible mistake. The second story, Principal, begins with Charlie stealing candy from his high school principal's house when trick-or-treating, but then he gets caught by the principal, who seems to be hiding a secret double life. The third story is probably the most well-known, called Halloween School Bus. A group of teens go to a flooded quarry, where one of them tells the group about the urban legend of the Halloween school bus. And in this urban legend, 8 disabled students were unalived by a school bus driver, because their parents all asked the school bus driver to get rid of them, as the parents were tired of taking care of them. Then we find out this might not be an urban legend after all. The fourth story, Surprise Party, is about a group of women who meet a hooded man dressed as a vampire. This story has a very interesting plot twist that you won't see coming. And the last story, Sam, is about the neighbor of the principal from the second story. And he hates Halloween. But as he walks out of his house, he realizes his entire lawn is full of jack-o'-lanterns. And there's mysterious messages written all over. In this story, it's finally revealed who this creepy pumpkin from the movie poster truly is. Follow for more.
Now, I'm sure we've all fallen asleep before and our arm went to sleep, right? And all you need to do to get rid of it is shake your head from left to right and it'll be gone instantly. Next, if you ever feel the urge to pee really bad but you can't find a restroom anywhere, start rubbing the back of your legs just like this. And in theory, it should just stop the urge instantly, because it'll force your brain to forget about it. And if you're ever enjoying a nice ice cream and you start getting brain freeze, try to warm up your thumb and put it in the roof of your mouth as flat as possible. Apparently, this will make your brain freeze go away instantly. And finally, if like many others you're having troubles falling asleep, try to blink your eyes super fast for 60 seconds, because it will make your eyes tired, which will make it easier for you to fall asleep.
Just blink. These we getting ultimate life hacks with these clips. Psychological facts we need to know. The internet. Yeah, stay off the net. That's some good advice. You feel the same way? 3 to 4 a.m.? Really a complicated relation. You don't say. Nicest people look mean at first. That's true. I can believe that one. Songs, they do express feelings and emotions, so.
Southeast Oklahoma. On a foggy day in 1970, a group of high school kids are cruising the back roads of Southeast Oklahoma. One of the boys had to pee, so they pulled over. He got out of the truck, walked about 50 yards into the woods so that he couldn't be seen. He heard a tree snap, looked up, and he's staring in the eyes of a creature 3 foot taller than any man. It had matted hair, red eyes, and blood dripping off its chin. The boys ran as fast as they could back to the truck, yelling, "Start the truck, start the truck." But what happens next is terrifying. The boys go to the sheriff's department, and when the deputy goes out to investigate, all he sees is animal carcasses everywhere. And the legend of the Green Hill Monster was born.
Green Hill Monster? We're gonna have to definitely do some research on that. That's my first time even hearing about that. So I watch these clips with you guys, man. Always expand my knowledge base.
Alright, for real, and I'm gonna show you exactly why. It's always the guy with the backwards baseball cap talking about this goofy shit. How's it going? My name's Vinny Santoro. I got a bachelor's of business from UMass Lowell. I like your chain though, dude. No hard feelings. I know a paisan when I see one. I just gotta give you a hard time. Everything grew a lot bigger because of oxygen levels. You should start teaching critical thinking at UMass Lowell. The time when there was more oxygen was like 200 million years ago, and the only thing that got bigger was insects. If this was a tree, the branches would be in like the goddamn troposphere. Does that make any sense? We read about them everywhere. They're in the Bible, they're right. But wait till you hear this. This book is called The Phantom Toll Booth, and in it there's a dog with a clock in it. Liberal media wants you to think this doesn't exist, but it literally says it right there in the book. The Smithsonian, they had their fingers in all of these reports. I love how many conspiracy theorists cite the whole Smithsonian destroyed giant skeletons claim literally originated in 2014 on a satire website. It was literally like The Onion. So you'll get these videos of these conspiracy theorists who are like, yeah, I have my third eye open, I read between the lines, and their source is like fucking Clickhole.
This creepy painting is actually some sort of evil apparition. Let's talk about the Rat Queen from the Layers of Fear remake. And of course, spoilers ahead. The Rat Queen also exists in the original versions of Layers of Fear 1 and 2, but we're going to be focusing on the remake. The Rat Queen appears mostly as a painting in the stories of the painter from Layers of Fear 1 and the actor from Layers of Fear 2. She seems like a malevolent force that rats are drawn to, but it's unclear as to what her intentions are. What's really happening is that in the remake, the writer is writing the stories of the painter and the actor. For those of you not familiar with the series, these are character names. At the beginning of the writer's time living in the lighthouse, she unknowingly enters a pact with the painting of the Rat Queen. And part of that pact is the Rat Queen helping her turn those stories into successful books. However, this comes at a cost, and the writer ended up losing her son as a result of the pact. She returned to the lighthouse to burn the Rat Queen painting, but was met with a surprise. The physical form of the Rat Queen appeared and locked her in the lighthouse forever.
It's a
People are freaking
spooky
out
story.
trying to get the new Lamborghini profile icon, but everyone's getting scammed trying to do it. Over the last few months there's been loads of profile icons coming out, and now you may have seen this new McLaren one going about. Quite cool, especially compared to some of the other ones we've had, but no one actually knows how to get it. A lot of people were saying that if you just type McLaren in the comment section, it comes up and gives it to you, but it definitely doesn't. But what is the actual way to do it? Well, I'll tell you right now. But first of all, you've got to go over to Tate McRae's page. Who, if you don't know, is this person right here. Click on her profile picture and it will come up with this, and you press Get Frame. After that, it will take you to this page, which comes up with her new release and loads of stuff. Where then, similar to the Squid Game one, you have to take part in a few challenges, complete these things before you can get it. Such as following her, posting a video to the song, and also putting that in the hashtags of the video. Once your video is done, set to public and posted, after you've done this and the video is posted, the frame should just pop up on your page.
If it doesn't, just click on your profile picture, go to frames where you can see all of yours, and select this one, and there you go.
Scariest.
So I guess that's how people be manipulating the system. Gotta do all that just, and people be doing that just to get an icon of a car on top of their profile. I wonder how many artists does that trick, man. They call it marketing, but could be looking at, you know, as manipulating the market, man. I don't know.
Things ever found in the woods. A biker was in a Colorado forest when he found a metal wire tied across 2 trees. Soon more bikers began reporting the same thing. Someone had even lost their lives to one of these wires. It seems someone wants to harm bikers for some reason. Police have been looking into this, but so far have not found whoever's doing it. In December 2014, a man heard screaming coming from the woods behind his house.
It's a kid screaming for his dad.
You can hear a girl screaming "Daddy" and an adult voice saying, "Where are you?" The man who heard this said he checked the news every day, but heard nothing about the incident on the news. Some people commented on this, saying it may have been a setup for a kidnapping, but really, we don't know. One day, a Forest Service officer was doing a routine patrol of a trail in Utah. That's when he noticed a tripwire tied between 2 trees. He followed the wire, and it led him to this. A ball made of rocks and sharpened sticks, which was set to fall when the tripwire was hit. That was bad enough, but he soon found another trap on the same trail. A tripwire pulled tight, which would cause people to fall into a bed of sharpened sticks. Police began investigating this, which led them to 2 men, Benjamin Rodkowski and Kai Christensen. They claimed the traps had been set for animals, but the police did not believe this. The 2 men were later sentenced to 30 days in jail.
Just 30 days? These are some Rambo crap. Just 30 days? That ain't enough. Saw that dragonfish? That always blows my mind, man, when we go like under the sea, and we just find new creatures. I'm pretty sure the
Here are
dragonfish
6
ain't
facts
there.
that sound completely fake but are 100% true. I can pretty much guarantee you one of these will be the coolest thing you've heard all day. Firstly, Picasso was alive at the same time as Eminem and Charles Darwin. Let that sink in for a second. What? Stonehenge was a tourist attraction for ancient Romans. The can opener wasn't invented until 48 years after the can. I mean, what? I imagine a lot of you enjoy eating oysters. I absolutely fucking do not. So might you after this fact. I'm so sorry. Oysters are always served to you alive. They only die when they go down your gullet. I mean, that's just What? If you shuffle a deck of cards, it is statistically likely that you've shuffled them in an order that has never existed before and will never exist again. Essentially, you were the first person in history to shuffle them in that exact sequence. Oh, and while we're on the topic of just what the fuck, there are more ways to play a game of chess than there are atoms in the observable universe. And if you type this into the comments, you unlock a secret TikTok emoji. Okay, that's enough whining for the day. Everyone with me?
Really?
Let's talk about a disturbing horror game that left me with more questions than answers. I Live Under Your House. Full game playthrough on my channel. This entire game is an enigma. You play as an unnamed creature that we never get to see. The only thing we know about your character is that they live underground beneath modern human civilization. You don't like leaving your tunnels, you don't want to go to the surface. But in this game, you have to. Loud construction work occurring directly above you causes you to investigate the surface, and you end up coming face to face with the human couple. The main hook of the gameplay is the amazing art style and trying to figure out what exactly you are. And the ending of this game, as well as its DLC, were certainly not what I expected.
So check that out. I think I could check out some scary
This is genuinely
games.
one of the most disturbing videos I have ever seen. It is the final footage that was found of a man who got lost in the Paris catacombs. In the 90s, a group of explorers were going through the catacombs of Paris, and they were getting pretty deep in there when they found a camera that was just abandoned. And upon reviewing the footage, they realized that it was from a man who was exploring down there, but he got lost. Watching the footage is incredibly chilling because he's picking up bones and skulls while he's exploring, but there's a point where either he hears something or he sees something and he begins running. He's running frantically and you can hear his breath getting louder and louder and louder. There's points where he doesn't know which way to turn, and finally, as he's running, he drops the camera.
Based off of the paintings that people were able to see in the footage and the testimony of the people who found the camera, this man was insanely deep underground in the catacombs. He was really far into the uncharted sections. And you may have heard of the film As Above, So Below, the movie that was actually inspired by this footage. As Above, So Below is a found footage horror movie about a group of people going into the Paris catacombs trying to find a hidden chamber to find the Philosopher's Stone, the secret to eternal life, but they actually end up going into the layers of hell. And the creators of this film saw this found footage from the 90s and it inspired them to make their own movie. So As Above, So Below is based on a true story. I'm doing a whole episode over on my pod Frightful Fandom talking about the history of the catacombs, what they were used for, this very unfortunate true life case, and of course As Above, So Below.
Here are 10 creepy, disturbing, and scary facts you didn't know. Part 2. Today's high school students have the same anxiety levels as insane asylum patients had in the 1950s. Until 1974, it was illegal to appear in public in the city of Chicago if you were ugly. During the early 1990s, a serial killer named Joseph Metheny owned a burger stand located in Baltimore, Maryland. After his arrest in 1996, he confessed to feeding his customers the flesh of at least 3 humans he had murdered. A new homeowner was shocked to find a rag doll boarded up in a wall cavity, clutching a note saying she killed a family. In 1977, we received a radio signal from space that lasted 42 seconds. To this day, we still don't know where that signal came from. The movie The Hills Have Eyes was based on the true story of the Bean Clan, a Scottish family who would secretly ambush, kill, and eat travelers for 25 years. In 1957, 2 sisters, Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock, were killed in a tragic car accident. A year later, their mother gave birth to twins, Jennifer and Jillian. Then it gets weird. Jennifer, the younger twin, had scars and birthmarks on her body that were identical to Jacqueline's, the deceased younger sister. The twins began to ask for toys that had belonged to the deceased girl, toys they had no knowledge of. Albert Fish, an American serial killer, boasted that he killed in every state and claimed to have had over 100 victims. What makes him even more sickening is that he sent letters to his victims' parents to tell them how good their children tasted. A man named Francesco Lentini had 3 legs, 4 feet, 16 toes, and 2 sets of functioning male genitals. He worked for a circus and lived until the age of 78. In 2011, Anatoly Yurovich was arrested after 12 dolls were found in his apartment. However, they weren't regular dolls. They were recently deceased little girls that he had dug up, dressed up, and displayed. Like for part 3.
Y'all do not know what will be going through people's mouth.
The trial ended with 2 deadlocked juries, causing the boys to be retried, but during the second trial, the judge didn't allow the boys to use the sexual abuse as a defense. Both brothers were convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder, with both of them receiving life sentences and no possibility of parole. They then didn't see one another for 22 years. Until 2018, they were housed in the same unit, and when they met, they embraced and burst into tears. The child psychologist that works with the brothers claims that the boys are innocent and their father was in fact a monster. A cousin of the boys also states that he remembers Lyle telling him during his childhood that his father was doing things to him that no parent should ever do. Others believe, however, that the boys are simply using any excuse they can, given that they are actually held accountable for their crimes. But ultimately, it's up to you to decide the innocence of...
In 2018, a 51-year-old woman drove her car onto a Little League field. Attempting to stop the woman and keep the children safe, 68-year-old Douglas Parkhurst jumps in front of the car and tries to close the gate. He succeeded keeping everyone safe, but sadly died from his injuries on the way to the hospital. Carol Sharrow is arrested, and the story should end there. But it doesn't. On Halloween night in 1968, 4-year-old Carol Lee Ashby was trick-or-treating with her older sister. Tragically, 4-year-old Carol Lee was hit and killed by a drunk driver, and the case remained cold for 45 years, until 2013 when Douglas Parkhurst confessed to being her killer. After 45 years, the statute of limitations had run out, and Douglas faced no punishment. When interviewed in 2018, Carol Lee's older sister Darlene said, "It's like a complete circle now. He went out the same way he took my sister out."
Terrible crimes that were solved by pure coincidence.
On April 28, 1997, Zephany Nurse was born, and she was placed in a nearby crib while her mother Celeste slept, but when Celeste awoke, her daughter was missing. Police searched the hospital, but nothing of note was found. In fact, no progress was made in the case for nearly 2 decades. However, when Celeste's next oldest daughter Cassidy started classes at a new school in 2014, she met Mache Solomon. The girls quickly struck up a close friendship, and many people commented on the resemblance to one another. So much so that when Cassidy introduced Mache to her mom Celeste, she instantly contacted the police. When Mache's alleged parents couldn't provide proof of her birth, a DNA test was conducted and it was confirmed that Mache was actually Zephany Nurse, Celeste's missing daughter. The kidnapper LaVonna Solomon was later convicted in the abduction case and sentenced to 10 years in prison.
You know how the things have to line up for you to go to school, I guess with your mom or sister? That's just the universe at play right there, man. Unfolding in front of our eyes.
This case's twist will shock you. On the evening of 2014, Sarah Sands had downed 2 bottles of wine, put on a hoodie, and left her apartment carrying a knife. She then walked to a 77-year-old man's house named Michael Plesty and took his life. She then walked back to her house and gave herself up to the police. But why did she do it? Turns out that man's name wasn't Michael Plestig. He had legally changed it through a secret loophole in the law, which allows you to do so when applying for a new passport, because he was actually on the SO list for messing with children. And it turns out he had lured her 3 sons into his apartment, 12-year-old Bradley and the 11-year-old twins Alfie and Reese, and essayed them. In court, Sarah claimed that she will never be able to take the nightmares that happen to her boys away from them when they're screaming at night. She got 7.5 years, and now that she's out, she fights the law, campaigning to stop other offenders from changing their name through that same loophole. Did you see the secret question I hid in this video?
A family in New Zealand found human remains inside of a storage locker they won through an auction. It's typical for storage units to be put up for auction if they have been unclaimed and unused for many, many, many years. This New Zealand family won a specific storage locker and they were emptying it out, found some suitcases. Upon realizing that the suitcases smelled terrible, they opened them up and found decomposing bodies. These bodies were later identified to be 2 children, one 5 years old and the other about 10 years old. While we don't know how long they were in the storage locker, it does seem like they had been there for a good amount of time. The only lead right now is police think that the children's mother is living in South Korea and she arrived there in 2018. Other than that, we don't really know much about this case yet.
Remember when Terrifier 2 made people pass out and throw up in theaters? Well, get ready because Terrifier 3 was just officially confirmed and it's going to be even bloodier. I have no idea how they're going to top the bedroom scene, but I'm excited to find out. Allegedly, the actors for Art the Clown and Sienna are both returning, so I feel like this means Terrifier 3 will be continuing the story from right after Terrifier 2. One of the producers said they'll have a bigger budget intended on giving filmmakers more creative freedom and let them be as wild as they can be. And all jokes aside, we're going for that Oscar this year. Can you imagine if Terrifier 3 wins an Oscar? I'll be updating you guys with anything I find out, so follow for more.
You know that ain't happening. That case had some twists and turns I was not expecting. Well, any of the secrets, were you guys expecting that?
Who was killed by her childhood best friend in 2016. At the time of her death, Sarah was living with her dad in Neptune City, New Jersey, and studying arts and media at their local community college. As many of her friends knew, she'd recently received a lot of money following her mom's passing. It was the middle of the night on December 2nd when Sarah's car was found abandoned on a nearby bridge with the engine still running. Dive team searched the water thinking that she may have jumped, but ultimately they came up with nothing. Sarah's case was investigated as a missing persons investigation until January of 2017, when another student came forward and pointed authorities in the direction of her junior year prom date, 19-year-old Liam McAtanzi. The two had been friends for over 10 years. On January 31st, police set the student up with microphones and cameras and had him meet Liam in a local parking lot. There, he confessed to everything, explaining that he and his best friend Preston spent 6 months planning Sarah's murder. Yes, this is a photo of Sarah, Liam, and Preston together at their high school prom. The plan was for Liam to go to Sarah's house, get her drunk, and then take her for everything her mom had left her. On December 1st, he did exactly this and strangled Sarah for 30 minutes before hiding her body in the bushes outside of her house. Later that night, he came back with Preston, and the two drove her and her vehicle to the nearby bridge. There, they threw her off and then staged the scene to make. Liam and Preston thought Sarah had nearly $100,000, but they only walked away with $8,000. Liam has since been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, and Preston to 18 years. Sarah's body has never been found, as it likely drifted off to sea within 24 hours.
The Florida Man, a national treasure of sorts, both a nightmare and a cause of intrigue for millions. Florida Man in facing attack believes he was half man, half dog. Florida Man arrested for throwing a gator into a Wendy's. Florida Man destroys nest full of wasps with his bare hands. Now, who is the Florida Man? I mean, you and I both know that it's multiple people doing insane things in the real-life GTA server that is Florida, but the legend still remains. One man doing things none of us could fathom. The Florida Man. It's become a fun game for people to look up the phrase Florida Man followed by their birthday to see what crazy things the Florida Man did that day. For me, I was born on January 14th, and what comes up is kill him with kindness. Florida Man kills someone with a machete named Kindness. You never know what you could find. What is going on down there in Florida? And how has it gone on for this long? All the answers we may never have. But all of that is part of the mystery of
the Florida Man.
This daycare worker is why many Americans choose to not send their kids to daycare. Hi, my name is Ethan, and trigger warning, this is a dark case. In June of 2018, a 1-year-old in Jessica Cherry's care allegedly fell from a chair, hit her head, and suffered extensive bruising and skull fracture. Fast forward 2 years later, another 2-year-old was found deceased in Jessica's playpen in her home. Jessica immediately called 911, and the 2-year-old was transported to Children's Hospital of the King's Daughters and was pronounced deceased. The pathologist who performed the autopsy on the 2-year-old later declared that she was potentially smothered, and that is how she passed away. They also saw that the child had blunt force injuries as well. Jessica was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter in August of 2022, and on March 17th of this year, she was sentenced to 10 years in prison.
That's 10? That sounds wrong.
A family in New Zealand found human remains inside of a storage locker they won through an auction. It's typical for storage units to be put up for auction if they have been unclaimed and unused for many, many, many years. This New Zealand family won a specific storage locker, and they were emptying it out, found some suitcases. Upon realizing that the suitcases smelled terrible, they opened them up and found decomposing bodies. These bodies were later identified to be 2 children, one 5 years old and the other about 10 years old. While we don't know how long they were in the storage locker, it does seem like they had been there for a good amount of time. The only lead right now is police think that the children's mother is living in South Korea, and she arrived there in 2018. Other than that, we don't really know much about this case yet.
Down for whatever. In the back of his mind is Coretta, and she knows.
So worried that she missed this one that she literally called the police to the house because she thought something was wrong. Her friend's name was Nicole, by the way, and she is a huge reason why this case even got solved. So Nicole's at the house talking to the police, and she explained how her car was still in the garage, the shoes that she wears every day were still there, and just as she was talking to them, Chris pulled up to his house. Now Chris ran up and looked extremely worried at the time, and then shook the police officer's hands and then went straight inside without making any eye contact with Nicole. Something real suspicious was going on. So anyway, the police officer took Chris into a closet to interrogate him. And Chris said this.
Nobody's heard from nobody.
So of course the cop had to take all the information into account, and he was like, alright, cool, this is what Chris had to say about it, let's go back to her. And because Nicole acted so quickly and was so on top of things, Chris couldn't dispose of any of Shannon's personal items. She noticed her purse was still there, and the medication she was supposed to take every day was still there as well. And then they contacted a neighbor who had security cameras out front of his house. And what he was able to find was shocking. The security cameras captured Chris Watts backing his pickup truck to the front of his house, and then moments later, pulling out bags and throwing them into the back of the pickup truck. And when you watch the footage, you realize Chris knows he was caught. Upon reasonable suspicion, Chris was later arrested, and it came out that Chris had murdered his wife and 2 children. 3 children if you count the child that his wife was pregnant with. He had taken them the oil canisters that were around where he worked at and disposed of the bodies. But right now, Chris Watts is in prison, rotting away, serving 5 life sentences. Share this with someone that didn't know this story.
That Chris Watts case, man, blows your mind every single time you hear it. He ate him? Where was he at?
She must have been out of her head.
Part 5. This is one of the most gruesome parts, so big trigger warning. Even if you can handle these type of topics, you might be very, very disturbed. Hi, I'm Julie and I talk about true crime, dark history, and all things spooky, so if you like that, please follow me. So after the freezing baby incident, the authorities came and raided the place again in 1985 and took away all 14 children, thank God. Of course, this didn't stop them from having babies, so every time that they had a new baby, the authorities would have to come in and take them away again. Once the children were all gone, things spiraled completely out of control. Many of the cult members tried to escape, but none were ever successful. One of the members that tried to escape was actually Rock's second wife, Giselle. It was actually Giselle's idea to leave the baby out in the cold, but despite that, really bad things happened to this woman on the commune. Rock found out that Giselle was trying to escape the commune and then threw a hunting knife at her, which landed in her thigh and created a 3-inch deep wound. Rock's response to this was to have a beer and then take a nap, and then hours later wanted to operate on her leg. It had been so long since her initial injury at this point that her leg began to clot and swell. Rock pressed on her wound until it opened back up again, and then he proceeded to pour boiling hot water in her wound repeatedly. And then he filled the wound up with salt and olive oil. Somehow Giselle survived this surgery. He also blowtorched one of his wife's stomach while she was pregnant. One of his favorite things to do was blowtorch people. He even blowtorched one of his wives on her back until the skin was bubbling up. A man named Claude who lived on the commune received horrific treatment as well. Rock poured boiling hot water on him, pulled out 11 of his teeth with a pair of pliers, broke each of his toes by hand, and then sliced his arm open with a piece of glass. He got one of his wives to break Claude's leg with a sledgehammer. Claude was ordered to walk around with an elastic band wrapped tightly around his testicles. He had to keep the elastic band on overnight, and then one of his testicles swelled up to the size of an orange. This caused irreparable damage. Then of course Rock decided to operate on him the next morning. He removed one of Claude's testicles and cauterized the wound with a hot iron. The next surgery Rock performed caused another death. This is the hardest one to hear. A woman named Solange started to complain of stomach pain. Rock, of course, concludes that the best thing to do is operate. He laid Solange on the table and punched her in the stomach. He then forced a tube into her rectum to perform an enema with molasses and olive oil. I don't know what his thing with olive oil is. I'm sorry guys, you're gonna have to come back for part 6.
Disturbing.
So now a neighbor in the brick building next door is stating that he got home at 1:30 and at 4 a.m. he heard a scream coming from the house where the 4 were slain in the Idaho murders. He thought that they were throwing a party, but now he realizes it probably was a scream for help. He didn't think anything of the scream and went back to sleep, but he did notice that a black SUV that he didn't recognize was parked in their driveway. I find it interesting that a whole building down the street heard a scream at the exact time that the murders were supposed to occur, but the roommates inside of the house said they heard nothing. What do you think? Do you think that's true? Do you think that they heard nothing? Do you think that it's interesting that a man down the street heard screams, but they didn't? Comment, let me know.
Somebody capping, somebody lying.
What is the scariest thing that could happen while camping? Well, this one guy who was camping in Florida had a horrifying encounter.
And before we get into it, I have a podcast episode of 2 of the scariest camping stories I've ever heard if you're interested. So years ago, a guy and his friend were camping in Florida when they came upon this old man's campground. It was in disarray, so they kind of got a bad feeling from it and they turned to leave. But then the guy comes out of the campsite and is like, oh, hey, you know, he wants to talk to them. He starts engaging them. He's giving them suggestions of where to go in the woods, but he's telling them where to go in steps, not in miles or yards. So he's like, oh, the waterfall is 300 steps from here. And one of the guys thinks that's weird because that's really not common in the area to describe where to go. A few months pass and they basically just forget about this interaction, but one day one of the guys calls the other guy and is like, dude, you have to turn on the TV right now. And all over the news are pictures of this guy, the guy they saw, Gary Michael Hilton, who is a serial killer who preyed upon young women in national parks, kidnapping them and taking their lives. Some of the places he told the boys to go look at were places he had hid bodies. Both men were contacted by law enforcement and ended up giving very valuable information in the investigation.
It's crazy, man. You never know who you're talking to or you're going to run into. You're out in the wild. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video. Comment down below. Also, don't forget to hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next videos. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.